Chapter 771. After killing two old ancestor-level characters, Yi Tianyun's heart is still heavy. As Tsang Ming said before, they have many forces hidden in the three realms. Only when they are exposed will they know whether they are evil spirit race or not. Most people would not be able to see it with the naked eye. Only if they were injured and their blood would they be able to tell. Upgrade appraisal eye, it should be easy to identify them. Yi Tianyun knows how to identify them, and the appraisal eye is a good way to do it. Although he can detect a lot of things, there are still many things that he can't detect. For example, the extremely detailed bloodline power is not so easy to detect. He believes that as long as he upgrades appraisal eye, he can definitely find out who is evil spirit race. It seems that there is an urgent need to upgrade appraisal eye, but it needs a lot of crazy points. 50 million crazy points is really a lot. But for him now, it is not difficult to upgrade appraisal eye. Successfully completed main quest: find the Heaven Ascension Temple in the mortal world and gain control of it. Reward: 20 million EXP, 150 million crazy points. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to 5th layer Saint King stage. After obtaining the EXP, he immediately leveled up to 5th layer Saint King stage, plus he killed so many strong evil spirit race experts. With this, he will be able to break through to God King stage, but even so, he feels that it is just the beginning. After all, some of the evil spirit race's powerhouses had reached level 6 or level 7 of the Immortal King stage. How could they be defeated so easily? Successfully accepted main quest: unify the mortal world and eradicate all evil spirit race experts. Reward: 40 million crazy points, 5 million SPS points, 500,000 crazy points. And get a new title, King of the Mortal World. Just what I wanted. Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes. The main quest is very much in line with what he wanted. His original intention was to unify the mortal world and eradicate all the evil spirit race, returning peace to the mortal world. Immediately, the phantom reappeared in his sight. It is a little girl, no different from other Heaven Ascension Temple. Master, the phantom respectfully greeted. You've been deceived by these guys, do you know that? Yi Tianyun frowned and asked. After investigation, they have the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king, and they have a lot of it. Moreover, they have passed certain tests and gained control over it. The phantom replied very rigidly. Yi Tianyun felt very helpless. It was indeed worthy of being the most rigid phantom. If it was a tool spirit, it would be a different story. The Heaven Ascending Divine Altar was not a divine artifact, so there was no artifact spirit, only the rules left by the heaven-creating divine king. It was just that the rules had harmed them. As long as the conditions were met, they could obtain control. It was simply ridiculous. If the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar was a divine tool, then it would be very powerful. The problem was that it wasn't a divine artifact, which was why it ended up like this. Forget it, I can't be bothered to talk to you. At that time, the heaven-creating divine king didn't expect that the evil spirit race could have this kind of ability. Yi Tianyun shook his head. Who would have thought that the evil spirit race could devour blood and turn it into his own? This was similar to absorbing the blood essence of the Phoenix clan. The more he absorbed, the stronger he would become. However, there was always a limit to absorbing the blood of other races. He couldn't keep on absorbing like crazy. After reaching a certain limit, if he continued to absorb it, he would be completely crippled. After all, it was impossible to change them completely, unless they were descendants of the Phoenix race and had the corresponding bloodline. This could only be called a bloodline awakening, a phenomenon of atavism. If there wasn't even a tiny bit of it, he wouldn't be able to crazily absorb it. If he exceeded it, his body would explode. The evil spirit race did not have this restriction. They could continue to devour and replenish their bloodline. It could even be used. It was simply heaven-defying. However, there was still a limit. It was just that this limit was relatively large. Every race had their own talents, and it was up to them to discover them. Yi Tianyun didn't think that there was anything wrong with the human race. It was just that they were extremely balanced in all aspects. Once they aimed at a certain direction, the effect would be quite shocking. For example, humans could become blacksmiths, divine inscriptionists, and so on. Basically, anything was possible. After switching to the mermaid race, blacksmiths were not good enough. At most, they were divine pattern masters. The reason was simple. Their attributes clashed. The water attribute could not be used for forging, nor could it be used for alchemy. The human race was balanced in all aspects and developed in all aspects. The evil spirit race's restrictions were relatively greater, and it was easy to be locked up. However, there was too little information. Yi Tianyun didn't know how many other races there were, but he believed that there would definitely be even more heaven-defying existences. The evil spirit race was probably just the beginning. The more heaven-defying ones would probably make one speechless. It's about time. Yi Tianyun slowly opened his eyes. After he obtained control, he fully investigated all the areas to see if there were any other people who had been captured. After careful investigation, he discovered that there were indeed people, and there were quite a few of them. There was an area in the heaven ascending divine altar that was basically filled with all kinds of races. They didn't have the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king, but they could be used as food for the evil spirit race. Therefore, they would capture many with good talent. The weak were prey to the strong. Yi Tianyun understood this principle. If the three realms were to be devoured by the evil spirit race, he wouldn't have any complaints. He could only say that he was too weak. However, if he was alive, he couldn't let this happen. Only those who were stronger could survive in this world. Slaughter, begin. Yi Tianyun attacked without hesitation. In an instant, the divine runes inside the heaven ascending divine altar erupted. Countless light pillars pierced through the walls, completely piercing through the scarlet demon race who were staying inside. Many of the scarlet demon race didn't even have time to react before they were turned into sieves and died. Especially the evil spirit race, they were even more roasted. They definitely wouldn't leave behind a single breath. In the blink of an eye, the entire heaven ascending divine altar blossomed with dazzling light, startling the guards outside. They didn't know what was going on. But soon, it was their turn. Countless light pillars pierced through the outside of the heaven ascending divine altar and easily killed those guards. These guards' cultivation was relatively low, so killing them was effortless. In less than a short period of time, they were all completely dead. What happened? Many cultivators in the prison looked outside in horror. All of a sudden, the guards outside were dead. No one knew what had happened. You are free. Go back to where you were captured from. Chapter 772. Yi Tianyun personally came to rescue them and spread the word that he was a companion of the mermaid race. He did this to pave the way for the mermaid race and build up their reputation. This way, more people would be willing to join the mermaid race, and there would not be too much rejection. All of them were extremely grateful. If Yi Tianyun did not come to rescue them, they would definitely be eaten. Their favorability immediately skyrocketed. After they got out, they would definitely spread the news of what happened here. The mermaid beside him proved that they were indeed in cahoots with each other, which could serve as a proof. The mermaid did not even know what had happened before she was dragged over. After Yi Tianyun sent the mermaid out, he said, "When you go back, remember to tell Princess Blue that the situation here is over. It seems that there is no need for that." He looked up and saw that it was Lan Qingling who was swimming over quickly. Who else could it be? He didn't expect that this little lass would secretly follow him. She was a princess, but she was putting herself in danger. It was really irrational. Princess. When the mermaid saw Lan Qingling coming over, her eyes immediately widened. "Little you, this is great. You are fine." Lan Qingling swam over excitedly and hugged her. "Yes, I am fine. If it was not for this benefactor who saved me, I would have been eaten up." Surviving a disaster made her cry. How could she not be frightened when she encountered such a thing at such a young age? He is the young master of our mermaid race. Lan Qingling smiled and looked over at Yi Tianyun, but Yi Tianyun reached out and knocked her on the head. Why did you come here? Don't you know that it is dangerous here? Yi Tianyun glared at her. The future of the mermaid race depended on her. I just came for a stroll. What if the young master is in danger? Lan Qingling rubbed her head and smiled embarrassedly. I am fine now. I will hide far away and just watch from afar. But the young master is really amazing. He really took over this place. Alright, there's no need to say anything more. Yi Tianyun felt warmth in his heart. For her to care about him, it definitely made him happy. Now I will give you a mission, and that is to move this heaven ascending altar out, and drag it back to its original place. Do you have any ideas? The heaven ascending divine altar was so big, it was impossible for him to do it alone, and he couldn't change his size either. It was truly a headache. If he didn't move it back, the heaven ascending god altar's teleportation array would be useless. Young master, this matter is very simple. We just need to find a few sea whales and we can drag this heaven ascension divine altar away. Back then, the Scarlet Demon clan relied on the sea whale to drag it away. As long as we don't need to escape, we can find the sea whale to drag the heaven ascension altar away. Lan Qingling patted her chest and said, just leave this matter to us. There won't be a problem. As long as you tell us where it is, we will definitely drag it there for you. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up, and said with a smile, very good, then I will leave this matter to you. Just drag this heaven ascending divine altar to Devil Cloud Island. If anyone disturbs you, kill without mercy. At the end of his words, his eyes were extremely cold. Many cultivators wanted to capture the mermaid clan, in order to sell them for a good price. If they passed by, they would definitely rush down to hunt. But don't worry, even if you don't make a move, this heaven ascending divine altar will protect you. Yi Tianyun smiled. Later, he will give the order to protect the mermaid clan. Whoever hurts them, he will take the initiative to attack. They can also hide in it, and will not be attacked. No problem, I guarantee that this matter will be done well. Lan Qingling felt that there was something to do, and immediately became excited. She just wanted to do something for Yi Tianyun. She wanted to repay Yi Tianyun. It was that simple, she had no other thoughts. Very good, now I will leave this matter to you. I have to kill my way to their lair and behead all the evil spirit race. A cold light flashed in the depth of his eyes, and his killing intent surged. Young master, do you know where their lair is? Lan Qingling exclaimed. They had no idea where their lair was. Of course I know. Otherwise, how could I become your young master? Yi Tianyun flicked his finger, and two figures appeared behind him. One was the Water Dragon Emperor, the other was the evil spirit race's Spirit King stage powerhouse. The Water Dragon Emperor was not clear, but the evil spirit race's Spirit King stage powerhouse was much stronger than Cloud Chasing Demon Master, so he definitely knew where the evil spirit race's Spirit King stage powerhouse was. Both of them were under his control, so finding their lair was really not difficult. After that, Yi Tianyun quickly took the two of them to the hidden lair of the evil spirit race, and at the same time, he dug out everything about them. The Water Dragon Emperor wanted to ask all the forces that colluded with the evil spirit race. The evil spirit race's task was simple, he just wanted to know the details of their plan and the location of their lair. The two of them couldn't struggle, so they could only answer honestly, which made them feel terrified. Water Dragon Emperor, I didn't expect you to be so courageous. Don't you know that once the evil spirit race breaks out, the entire mortal world will be ruled by them? Yi Tianyun's eyes were full of killing intent. I don't know. After the Water Dragon Emperor regained his ability to speak, he immediately struggled and said, Heavenly Cloud's great emperor, please let me go. I was blinded by greed, you want to capture my people to threaten me? Blinded by greed, you want the mortal world to be ruled by the evil spirit race? Tianyun sneered and said, "Then I will also be blinded by greed, and I will let you fight the evil spirit race, and finally sacrifice yourself there. I am very optimistic about you." I. The Water Dragon Emperor was about to cry. When he recognized Tianyun, he was scared out of his wits, and the key point was that he couldn't move. This time, he finally knew how powerful Tianyun was, or rather, very powerful. He could easily control them. As for the other two evil spirit race powerhouses, he didn't even bother to let them speak. He already asked everything he needed to know, and there was nothing more to say to these garbage. I really didn't expect that the remaining forces of the evil spirit race would be so strong. There are 5 Saint King stage powerhouses, which is much stronger than ordinary divine nations. Tianyun asked about the general information. Including Tsang Yun and Tianyun, there were 5 Saint King stage powerhouses, and they were all in the late stage. To be able to cultivate to this level, it meant that they must have devoured many lives to achieve this level of power. Chapter 773. Under the guidance of the evil spirit race's powerhouse, they have been madly twisting and turning, but no matter how many twists and turns, they are mainly underground. It turned out that the underground abyss was already quite deep, but they didn't expect that there was a passage leading to a deeper area. If their cultivation is too low, they really can't even go down, and the deeper they go, the colder it gets. Without a certain level of cultivation, they really can't go down. This place is really hidden. The deeper we go, the weaker the suppression power of the heaven-creating Divine King. Tianyun roughly knows why they can escape the suppression. The heaven-creating Divine King is a Divine King, but he is not strong enough to control the power of all areas. It is impossible to cover every corner. The depths of the sea is the best proof, so they can survive and hide. I heard that you have a treasure that can avoid this suppression. What kind of treasure is it? Tianyun turned his head and asked the evil spirit race's powerhouse. It is a treasure left by our ancestors, called the heaven-devouring divine treasure. It belongs to the level of a mid-rank divine tool. As long as you release this treasure, you can avoid all kinds of laws, and even the detection of powerhouses. The evil spirit race's powerhouse said truthfully. Avoid the detection of powerhouses, could it be? Tianyun's heart sank. He roughly knew why the primitive evil spirit race still exists. It was not completely destroyed. The heaven-creating Divine King and the others searched inside and out, but with such a treasure, can't they easily hide? It seems that you survived a lot because of this treasure, right? Tianyun asked. Yes. The heaven-creating Divine King and the others joined forces to search for our existence. Because of this treasure, they can escape the disaster. It's just that the power released later made us not dare to go out. Once we go out, we will be attacked. The evil spirit race's powerhouse told the truth. Tianyun nodded. For a normal cultivator, it is just to suppress their cultivation and force them to leave this area. For the evil spirit race, it is the power of heaven's punishment. This is equivalent to being stared at by countless pairs of eyes in the sky. Once discovered, the evil spirit race will immediately be killed. This kind of power, even the evil spirit race at the Saint King stage would be afraid of it. Logically speaking, with this treasure, you should be able to send some of your experts out. Tianyun frowned and asked. We are worried that there are still Divine King level existences outside, so we do not dare to casually go out. Once we are discovered, our most primitive existence will be destroyed. The evil spirit race said. Tianyun frowned. Only a few mixed-blood evil spirit races were able to leave this area without being suppressed. As for these primitive experts, they would definitely die if they went out. In the heaven realm or the netherworld, the suppression wasn't as strong. It wasn't that they didn't want to do so, but that it was more difficult to set up these powers in different regions. It wasn't that easy to set them up. The reason the mortal realm was able to set up rule power was largely because it was relatively small and weak. It was not as huge as the other two regions. Only then would it be easier and less difficult to control. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called the mortal realm. It was equivalent to a mortal body, there was no absolute power here. No matter what, this time the remnants of the mortal realm will definitely die. Yi Tianyun's eyes turned cold. There was a bit of anger and unwillingness in the eyes of the evil spirit race's expert, but he couldn't resist and could only lead Yi Tianyun to the secret area. As they continued to go deeper, the surroundings became colder and colder, and even a familiar feeling emerged, heavenly Yin fire. There is a familiar feeling of heavenly Yin fire here. It is very likely that there are countless heavenly Yin fire below, and they rely on heavenly Yin fire to cultivate. The physique of the evil spirit race is originally cold, so it is not surprising that they use heavenly Yin fire to cultivate. You also devour heavenly Yin fire? Yi Tianyun asked again. Yes, devouring heavenly Yin fire is helpful for our cultivation. It can also suppress the yang qi that emerges when we absorb other life forms. The evil spirit race's expert said. Sure enough, immortal fire is their absolute nemesis. As long as they use immortal fire, their resistance will be greatly reduced. Yi Tianyun feels that the reason why they prioritized eradicating the phoenix race is not because the phoenix race's bloodline is amazing, but because they don't want the existence of the phoenix race to threaten them. A lot of information gradually surfaced, and many things can be traced, causing people's heart to tremble. Very good. The corner of Yi Tianyun's mouth hooked into a trace of a sneer. No matter what, the remnants of the mortal realm will be eradicated today. After continuing to go deeper for half an hour, they have already reached the bottom, and the heavenly Yin fire has begun to appear all around, burning in the water, freezing the surrounding environment. There is a large piece of ice here. It is bone-piercing cold. It is obvious that this passage was deliberately dug, in order to be more hidden, the deeper the better. When preparing to approach, Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. There is a thick layer of black barrier in front of him, and the appraisal eye immediately showed detailed information. Heaven-devouring divine artifact, mid-rank divine artifact, can devour the power of heaven and earth, and can even avoid the power of god kings. The heaven-devouring divine artifact can not only devour the power of heaven and earth, but also the power of all life, turning it into its own. At the same time, it can transform into a thick shield, which can resist the fatal attacks of ordinary god kings. It can also resist the attacks of god kings. This mid-rank divine artifact is really powerful. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. The gap between a low-rank divine artifact and a mid-rank divine artifact is amazing. It is like comparing an ordinary iron to a divine artifact. What if it is a high-rank divine artifact? He has not seen a high-rank divine artifact yet. If there is a high-rank divine artifact, wouldn't it be equivalent to an existence that can destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth? He looked at the shield. It can resist the fatal attacks of a god king, but it can only resist 1 or 2 attacks. It does not mean that it can resist continuous attacks. This thing is not that fierce. Even if it can, it needs an astonishing amount of energy to maintain. It is simply a pipe dream for a few Saint King stage powerhouses to resist the attacks of a God King stage powerhouse by relying on a treasure. If he were to attack, he would probably need to attack a few more times before he could break through the defense of this shield. Yi Tianyun glanced at the evil spirit race powerhouse next to him. If he is here, there is no need to break the shield. Spirit King stage powerhouses often come and go to this area, mainly to provide more cultivators as food. Therefore, relying on the evil spirit race powerhouse, it is very easy to enter. Your treasure is very good, but I will have to rely on you to enter. Work hard. Yi Tianyun reached out and patted the evil spirit race powerhouse on the shoulder. Chapter 774. The evil spirit race rancor took the lead and flew over. The water dragon emperor was dragged over by him and hid at the side. The evil spirit race rancor definitely could not bring outsiders in, no matter who it was. Thus, in order to make the other party relax their vigilance, the water dragon emperor definitely could not go over with them. Yi Tianyun hid at the side and controlled the evil spirit race rancor to fly over and open the barrier. Just as the evil spirit race rancor flew over, a low voice sounded out from inside. You're back so soon. Have you settled the matters at the Heaven Ascension Divine Altar? A low voice sounded. Yes, it's almost done. I'm here to offer you a fresh tribute. The evil spirit race ranker said respectfully. Fresh tribute? Didn't I already deliver it before? Even though he said that, the barrier still quickly opened, revealing a hole for the evil spirit race ranker to enter. Taking advantage of this moment, Yi Tianyun's figure swept past the barrier in one fell swoop. He didn't even need to hide and directly charged in. It could be said that he was extremely bold. Just as he charged in, he saw a huge palace built inside, surrounded by heavenly yin fire. From here, the palace seemed to be in the middle of the heavenly yin fire. The heavenly yin fire was constantly being absorbed by the palace, as if it was being consumed bit by bit. Other than that, there was nothing special about it. It was just a huge palace that looked incomparably eerie. The Water Dragon Emperor charged in along with him. He definitely wanted the Water Dragon Emperor to come in. It was no problem for him to be alone, but he wanted the Water Dragon Emperor to fight fiercely and then die here. It was equivalent to giving the Water Dragon Emperor a punishment. Human race. A roar immediately came from inside the palace. Yutsang, what's going on with you? Why did you bring 2 humans in? If they were tributes, they would definitely be tied up. Now that they were not tied up, coupled with their aura, it was obvious that they were not normal tributes. Yi Tianyun could not be bothered with him. He brought his men and charged into the palace without any obstruction. Their defense was the heaven-devouring divine treasure outside, which was more effective than any treasure or divine rune. Once it was broken, they wouldn't have any defenses to speak of, and they would be able to easily kill their way in. When he stepped into the palace, the scene that greeted his eyes caused Yi Tianyun's heart to burn with rage. There were only children here, and they were all girls in their teens. The key was that some of their bellies were big, which meant that they were pregnant, and it was all caused by these beasts. In addition to these children, there was also a pile of bones on the side. At a glance, it was obvious that they were the bones of children. It was obvious that those who could not conceive the evil spirit race's children would definitely be devoured. Such a vicious evil spirit race caused the anger in Yi Tianyun's heart to soar to the sky. He stared straight at the 3 evil spirit races at the front with a strong killing intent. He was still holding a child in his hand, but he had already been half-eaten and was on the verge of death. The other 2 were lying in the pool of blood. It was unknown how many children's blood had gathered to form them. The appearance of Yi Tianyun and the Water Dragon Emperor made the 3 evil spirit race old ancestors stand up one after another. They looked at Yi Tianyun and the Water Dragon Emperor indifferently, their eyes were full of dissatisfaction, but they did not panic at all. For them, this was their territory, and there was no need to worry about Yi Tianyun running away. The shield outside had been closed again, so there was no problem. In addition, they had absolute confidence in their own strength. All 3 of them were Saint King stage powerhouses, and their cultivation was at the 8th or 9th layer. The strongest one was at the peak of the Saint King stage, and was about to enter the God King stage. Hey, he actually has the bloodline of the heaven-creating divine king? They sat up in surprise and looked up and down at Yi Tianyun. One of them smiled and said, Yutsang, the tribute you brought back is really good. Although I hate the descendants of the King of the Heavens very much, I still like eating their descendants. Hee, yes. If we can go out, we will definitely go to the heaven world and eat all the descendants of the King of the Heavens. We have eaten most of the descendants of the heaven-creating divine king, right? Evil Sky Soul smiled and couldn't help licking his lips, looking at Yi Tianyun with eyes full of desire. It was not that Yi Tianyun was very tempting, but they wanted to eat the descendants of the King of the Heavens to vent their hatred. What about the other one? He doesn't have any bloodline, he is just an ordinary human, but his cultivation is not bad, so he can eat whatever he wants. Evil Sky Soul looked at the Water Dragon Emperor. Devouring masters with good cultivation was also beneficial to them. The 3 of them really did not see the anger in Yi Tianyun's eyes, they have been thinking about who to eat first, or who to eat first. Activate Crazy Damage Mode. Activate the full power of the evil spirit set. Activate the full power of the ancient desolate set. Activate the power of the dragon god bloodline. Activate the power of the phoenix bloodline. Almost all of his power was activated in an instant, and with a bang, a terrifying power soared into the sky, penetrating the palace above in one fell swoop, and hit the shield in the sky, continuously hitting the thick shield. The terrifying power swept around, causing the three evil spirit race powerhouses to jump in fright. All six of their arms waved quickly holding their weapons in their hands, and looked at Yi Tianyun vigilantly. What kind of power is this? They were all shocked. Previously they felt that Yi Tianyun's aura was relatively ordinary, and they thought that his cultivation was relatively low, but now it seemed that they were very wrong. It was not that Yi Tianyun's cultivation was too low, but that his power was far beyond them, so they could not clearly sense it. The huge evil spirits descended in this palace just like that. It was more like a demon than them, but even if it was a demon, Yi Tianyun would not do such a disgusting thing. Looking at the piles of corpses, as well as the girls of many races lying on the side, everything was so disgusting, it made him extremely angry. No wonder there were other races of evil spirit race. It turned out that this group of beasts forced them to reproduce for themselves. Boom! Yi Tianyun stepped on the ground and rushed forward. The ancient desolate set instantly erupted with amazing speed. Combined with the power of the phoenix bloodline, his speed suddenly exploded. Xiao was the strongest peak Saint King stage powerhouse among them. At most they could only see an afterimage. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Evil Jade Spirit, who was eating a child before, and the first one he killed was Evil Jade Spirit. An extreme sword light flashed in front of them, and before Evil Jade Spirit could understand what was going on, bang, all of his arms and legs were cut off, and at the same time, black flames madly burned his body. First one, finish him. Yi Tianyun's voice was much colder than the heavenly yin fire on the side. Chapter 775. Yi Tianyun didn't kill Evil Jade's soul, he just cut off all his limbs and used the immortal fire to devour and burn them bit by bit. In this way, even if their regenerative ability was extremely strong, they couldn't easily recover. Under a little bit of burning, even if they could resist, it would be difficult for their limbs to recover. No, it should be said that they all had 8 limbs now, plus the 4 extra arms that grew later. They had 6 arms. This was a symbol of extreme strength. However, such a symbol of strength was nothing but a pile of trash to him. Before, when the heavenly netherworld Holy King had reached the peak Saint King level, he was only at the Saint King stage, but he was still able to suppress the heavenly netherworld Holy King. Now he was much stronger than before, reaching the 5th layer of the Saint King stage, and with the support of the ancient desolate set, he could easily crush everything. He was invincible under the God King stage, no one could resist his suppression. From the beginning, he didn't care about the 3 people in front of him. Even if a God King stage powerhouse came, he was confident that he could fight them. Kill. As expected of an old ancestor-level character, they instantly controlled the heaven-devouring divine treasure to envelop them, without the slightest panic in their hearts. After all, there was no point in panicking, and it wouldn't help them avoid the crisis. The power of the Saint King stage peak erupted, and the heaven-devouring divine treasure shrouded Yi Tianyun completely. They wanted to completely seal Yi Tianyun inside and suck him dry. But before they could do anything, Yi Tianyun's figure had already disappeared. The two of them only saw a flash of black sword light, and immediately felt a chill all over their body. The next moment, they lost all feeling in their limbs, and all they could feel was the severe pain that constantly spread throughout their bodies. In addition, there was also the terrifying immortal fire nibbling away at their bodies bit by bit, burning them at a slow pace. At this pace, it would take at least a few days to completely burn them to death. If they continued to frantically restore their bodies, then the burning process would definitely last a little longer, and there was even a possibility that they would be extinguished. The immortal fire was not really indestructible, it just burned for a long time, and if there was enough power to suppress the immortal fire, it would still be extinguished. Ha ha ha, in the end, he was still caught by us. His strength is good, but so what? Didn't we catch him? Suck him dry. I never thought that there would be such an expert in the mortal world. As expected of the descendant of the King of the Heavens. Isn't this power a little too terrifying? They fell to the ground, their bodies in extreme pain, but when they saw Yi Tianyun inside the heaven-devouring divine treasure, they all revealed mocking smiles. As long as one was trapped in the heaven-devouring divine treasure, as long as one wasn't a god-king stage expert, they would definitely be sucked dry. The Water Dragon Emperor and the evil spirit race powerhouses who were captured were overjoyed. If Yi Tianyun died, wouldn't they regain their freedom? There was no need to describe the feeling of being controlled all the time. It was absolutely unforgettable. It would have been fine if they had been controlled and could not remember anything. However, their consciousness was very clear and they could even know his every move. Who did you say you caught? A ghostly voice sounded from their side, making them turn their heads in fear. When they saw Yi Tianyun standing behind them, they were completely scared out of their wits. The key point was that Yi Tianyun was clearly trapped inside the heaven-devouring divine treasure. How could there be someone else outside? Naturally, the one trapped inside was Yi Tianyun's doppelganger. At the moment when the other party used the heaven-devouring divine treasure to attack, Yi Tianyun instantly created a doppelganger and let them throw their attacks at the doppelganger. He didn't know if he could teleport through, but for safety's sake, he left a doppelganger behind and teleported behind them to watch the good show. In the next moment, before they could recover from their shock, he took out the other two weapons and stabbed them fiercely, nailing them to the ground. Most importantly, he sealed their powers. Even if a Saint King stage powerhouse lost his limbs, he could still use his spiritual power to attack or move. Especially the evil spirit race, who knows what other abilities they have. He had to make sure that everything was foolproof, he couldn't afford to be careless. Once he was careless, he might die. Although he still had a life, who would be willing to let himself die? 3 divine-level weapons nailed them to the ground. With these divine-level weapons in hand, even if they had amazing strength, they still couldn't lift the suppression of this terrifying power. So many divine-level weapons, when the 3 of them felt that their power was being suppressed, their eyes were filled with despair, which meant that they couldn't resist. Without the support of power, the heaven-devouring divine treasure shrank and returned to a black pearl floating in the air. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and sucked the black pearl over. The heaven-devouring divine treasure struggled a bit, but without the support of its master, it couldn't escape his suction force. Heaven-devouring divine treasure, mid-grade divine tool, it's really a good treasure. I'll take this thing, it can be used as a defensive treasure. Yi Tianyun smiled slightly. This trip was not bad, there were pitifully few mid-grade divine tools, he could easily obtain one here. The 3 of them were angered to the point of vomiting blood. Not only were they easily controlled, they had even had all of their treasures taken away. How could they not be angered to the point of vomiting blood? If you have the ability, kill us. We definitely won't frown. The 3 of them were not afraid at all. There was not a single trace of fear in their eyes. They were not afraid of death at all. To them, if they were discovered, they could die at any time. Especially since they had been hiding here all this time, there was no sense of freedom at all. It was better to die. Kill you? Yi Tianyun laughed coldly, that would be too easy on you. I will watch you burn to death here, burn to death bit by bit. Atone for everyone, and for the people here. His anger had not been extinguished. Many of the girls present had already lost all signs of life. Some were dead, and some were already in despair. However, there were some who were still alive. When they saw the situation, their eyes flickered and tears streamed down their faces. They couldn't speak because their tongues had long since been cut off. Other than crying, there was nothing else they could do. They were breeding tools, what a terrifying evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun had already sworn that he would definitely exterminate the evil spirit race. completely erased from the three realms. Chapter 776. Haha, they are all a bunch of trash, a bunch of ants, taking revenge on us for their sake. Too naive, the weak are prey to the strong, don't you know this principle? That's right, you humans are really childish. All the weak are trash, trash that can be casually played with. If they die, then they die. It's their honor that we have taken a fancy to them. Hee hee, be angry, roar. If you have the ability, then kill us, you trash. They had been mocking Yi Tianyun the entire time, and were even teaching him a lesson. In essence, they wanted to provoke Yi Tianyun into killing them. They knew that it was impossible for them to survive. If they killed themselves quickly, they could still solve this painful torture. The feeling of being burned by the inextinguishable fire bit by bit was definitely not good. You guys are just trying to anger me so that I can kill you sooner. Yi Tianyun said expressionlessly, don't worry, I just said it, I will watch you burn to death bit by bit, no matter how many days you burn. But now I have a new idea, I will definitely make you suffer for a long, long time. However, there is one thing you are wrong about. The weak are prey to the strong, but there is one thing you will never understand, and that is the heart. You don't even have a heart, let alone a conscience. Yi Tianyun said indifferently, if I tell you any more, it will all be a bunch of nonsense. After he finished speaking, he took out a treasure. It was the long life ring. When he placed this treasure here, it immediately released a strong recovery energy fluctuation. However, he had adjusted it, so the recovery effect would not be very strong. At most, it would not be more than 3 or 4 times, continuously nourishing the evil spirit race's ancestor. Their severed limbs began to quickly recover, bit by bit, and flesh began to grow. If the recovery speed increased, it would definitely continue to grow flesh. At the same time, Yi Tianyun threw out a few more balls of inextinguishable fire, burning their limbs even more intensely and painfully. Of course, the reason why Yi Tianyun released the long life ring was not to save them, but to let them burn a little longer. This was like an oil lamp that could continue burning without being completely burnt out. What is this thing? It actually increased our recovery speed. I curse you to die a horrible death, curse you to be completely devoured by our race. Our race will kill you and devour you all. They all let out incomparably painful screams. They were not afraid of death, but the feeling of being constantly burned was incomparably painful. The inextinguishable flame could even affect their souls, nibbling away bit by bit and burning them dry. However, Yi Tianyun wouldn't do that. He wouldn't let them off easily. He would torture them for at least a few months. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to quell the anger in his heart. The other two looked at this scene in horror. Yi Tianyun was clearly a human, but they felt that he was scarier than a demon. If they were in his shoes, they wouldn't be able to endure such torture. Then, Yi Tianyun ignored them. Instead, he turned around and walked towards the girls who were still alive. There were basically all kinds of races. The evil spirit race's idea was very simple. They wanted the evil spirit race to mix with all the races. The children that were born would be immediately nurtured. They needed absolute loyalty and would not change after mixing with other races. From birth, they would be nurtured to be absolute killing tools. Looking at the dozen or so girls tied to the wall, they were all pregnant with their vile spawn. If they weren't pregnant, they would have died a long time ago. It was simply too tragic. However, their gazes towards Yi Tianyun were filled with gratitude. They continuously shed tears and nodded at him to express their gratitude. Most of all, they wanted Yi Tianyun to give them a quick death. They couldn't speak, so they could only use their tears to express themselves. Yi Tianyun took out the longevity necklace and came to their side. With a light wave of his hand, a ray of light entered their bodies. Following that, the vile spawn in their stomachs was completely killed. At the same time, after activating the longevity necklace, the terrifying recovery power started to heal their wounds, and even their tongues. In the eyes of many cultivators, this was a waste. Such an astonishing recovery ability should have been used to heal others. These girls had all been tainted, and their cultivation levels weren't high. Most of them had been crippled, so saving them was useless. However, Yi Tianyun still chose to do so. He only wanted to make himself feel better. They had clearly done nothing wrong, yet they had encountered such a disgusting thing. As he fully activated the healing power, their tongues quickly grew back. Their cultivation was relatively low, so their recovery speed was a little faster. Powerful cultivators recovered a little slower. After all, their physiques were more astonishing, and they needed more energy to recover. Thank you, benefactor, thank you, benefactor. But there's no need to save me, I don't want to live anymore. When they recovered their ability to speak, this was what most of their true thoughts were. The other was that they wanted to kill the evil spirit race with their own hands. Some of them even thought of committing suicide, wanting to die here. If you want to die, I won't stop you. Yi Tianyun looked at them and said in a deep voice, but do you want to take revenge? Yes. But benefactor, you've already done it for us, and you can do it even better. What they couldn't do was to make the evil spirit race's ancestor feel even more pain. At most, they could finish him off with a single slash, and they could only be greedy for a moment of pleasure. Before they were captured, they were all geniuses with decent talent. The ancestors of the evil spirit race definitely wanted the next generation to have stronger talent, not trash. Therefore, they would definitely capture geniuses to breed descendants. If they weren't geniuses, they wouldn't want them. Now, they were no different from trash. Their cultivation had been crippled and they had even been tainted. He felt incomparable despair in his heart, and even more so, he wanted to die. Do you know that there are still a lot of evil spirit race in the three realms? We must find them all and kill them all. Only then can we return peace to the three realms. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice, more importantly, it's to prevent more people from being harmed by them. Even more so, this situation would not have happened. If you want to die, I won't stop you. If you want to take revenge and destroy this race, then stand up. I will give you resources, nurture you, and allow you to become true experts again. This was all Yi Tianyun could do. He definitely did not want them to die like this, as there was no value in dying like this. It was not that he wanted to use them, but that the evil spirit race would not be sad if they died like this. Teng. Chapter 777. Yi Tianyun's words let them have a goal, and their loyalty immediately surged. At the same time, a notification sounded in his ears. Ding! Jia Yuling became a loyal divine general, gained 500. 000 EXP, 500. 000 crazy point. Ding! Yu Tianling became a loyal divine general, gained 1 million EXP, 1000. 000 crazy point. Ding! Hui Tianqing became a loyal divine general, gained 800. 000 EXP, 800. 000 crazy point. Ding! One by one, the girls became Yi Tianyun's divine generals. This really caught him off guard. He wanted to persuade them not to commit suicide. There was no value in dying like this. Instead, this group of garbage evil spirit race would laugh at them for their cowardice. Just now, they were devalued, so he wanted to create value for them. He wanted to vent his anger on the evil spirit race and destroy this race from the three realms. Only then would they be able to display their value and not die just like that. Ding! Successfully subdued 10 divine generals, gained 1 billion EXP, 1 million crazy point, 500. 000 proficiency. At the same time, obtained a divine general summoning token, can be used 3 times to summon different number of divine generals. Ding! Successfully subdued 15 divine generals, gained 5 billion EXP, 5 million crazy point, 2 million proficiency. At the same time, obtained a Divine General Summoning Token and Divine General Invincibility Talisman. After use, all Divine General's power will increase tenfold, defense will increase tenfold, can be used 3 times. A bunch of rewards popped up crazily, and Yi Tianyun almost fainted. 12 girls directly became his Divine Generals. It was incredible. He just said a few words, and they immediately became loyal to him, willing to do anything for him. Yi Tianyun didn't mean it this way. It was too difficult to subdue a Divine General. Who would have thought that it would be so easy? We are willing to do anything for Master, even if we have to die, we will do it immediately. I hope Master doesn't despise us for being dirty. Wait. Yi Tianyun interrupted them in a deep voice. After walking back and forth in front of them for a while, he said in a deep voice, "Do you feel that after being defiled, you feel that you are dirty, you feel that you don't even have a chance to approach others?" Yes. We feel that we have been defiled by these disgusting races. Only Master can give us a reason to live. If it wasn't for Yi Tianyun's words, they would have committed suicide a long time ago. No, your hearts are very pure, without the slightest bit of impurity. It is undeniable that you have been defiled by a group of beasts, but that is only the body. When your cultivation base breaks through to a profound level, you can even be reborn and have a brand new body. Moreover, this is not voluntary. Your hearts are always the purest. The most important thing was that his heart wasn't tainted. Don't feel inferior at all. You will always be the purest and most beautiful. Yi Tianyun's words came from the bottom of his heart. They were all innocent victims. As long as one's heart wasn't tainted, nothing would be a problem. It was this group of trash that deserved to die, not them. Moreover, as he said, after breaking through to the Saint King stage, this was indeed possible. Being reborn and changing one's body was akin to having a brand new body. It was just that if they couldn't get rid of the shadow in their hearts, it would be useless even if they were reborn and changed their bodies. After listening to Yi Tianyun's words, they immediately burst into tears. They all despised themselves and were afraid that Yi Tianyun would not come close to them. They had no intention of looking for any Tao companions. They only had one goal, and that was to kill all the evil spirit race. It was just that they were afraid that Yi Tianyun would despise them. But even if he despised them, they would not have the slightest qualification to refute. Even if they despised them, what qualifications did they have to refute? Now Yi Tianyun's words fiercely hit their hearts, causing them to sob uncontrollably. After seeing this, Yi Tianyun shook his head and sighed deeply. In many cases, women were sacrifices, especially female cultivators. If they were caught, they would basically be defiled and most of them would choose to commit suicide. Because prejudice was always the most terrifying thing. Gossip was a fearful thing. Those who had been defiled were not treated well. They were clearly all victims, and they had not done it willingly, yet they had received such treatment. It was truly chilling. He couldn't care less about the thoughts of others, but on his side, there was no such thing as prejudice. Now, I'll give you a mission. That is to gather all the valuable treasures here and then gather them back here. Yi Tianyun immediately gave them their first mission. With the help of the longevity necklace, they had more or less recovered. Their cultivation had not recovered, but walking was not a problem. Yes, sir. They wiped their tears and immediately ran to other places to search, their eyes filled with hope. They did not ask for anything else now. Other than killing the evil spirit race, their greatest wish was to forever become Yi Tianyun's subordinates and do anything for him. Of course, Yi Tianyun did not need them to do this. He had only done something that was worthy of his conscience. Then, he arrived in front of the Water Dragon Emperor and the evil spirit race experts, looked at them coldly and said, "I originally wanted you guys to take action, but it seems like there's no need for you guys to take action anymore." In the next moment, he waved his hand, and the two of them were also thrown to the side. They were quickly devoured by the inextinguishable flames. Their outcome was similar to the three ancestors, and they were devoured bit by bit. Yi Tianyun was just that ruthless. Once he was harmed or wanted to harm the people around him, he would be incomparably furious and would definitely be ruthless. The Water Dragon Emperor even wanted to capture his friends to threaten him. After finding out about this, the outcome was already decided. You will die a horrible death. You want to get rid of our evil spirit race? Don't even think about it. That's right, even if we die, we won't let you off. Once our evil spirit race attacks, it will be the time of your deaths. When they were engulfed by the flames, they still said vicious words. Is there anything new about your words? It's all this nonsense. Yi Tianyun sneered, I will wait here. I will kill as many as you come. At that time, even if you don't come, I will personally kill my way to your door. I will completely eliminate you trash and enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. He had already made up his mind. He would not be at ease until he completely eradicated the evil spirit race's headquarters. The situation in the three realms had already been exposed. It was only a matter of time before they attacked again. Chapter 778. While he was punishing these trash, Yi Tianyun was waiting on the side. Soon, the girls came back and moved all the valuable treasures here. Some were holy artifacts, some were elixirs, and some were martial arts. Master, these things are all here. There was no greed in their eyes. They didn't care about these things at all. Everything they did was for Yi Tianyun. They didn't think for themselves. Plus, they were absolutely loyal, so they wouldn't embezzle anything. If it was other ordinary cultivators, some greedy ones would have already secretly put them in their storage ring. The palace was so big, they didn't think that Yi Tianyun could keep an eye on everyone, so they put them in their storage ring without being discovered. In fact, if Yi Tianyun really wanted to keep an eye on them, he wouldn't feel any pressure. The appraisal eye could cover the entire palace, so their every move could be seen. But for them, Yi Tianyun didn't see if they had hidden anything. This was more of a kind of trust in them. If he didn't even trust them, then he didn't trust them too much. Of course, becoming his divine general meant absolute loyalty, without the slightest bit of selfishness. Take all the treasures here. They will be your starting resources. Distribute them reasonably. The 12 of you can choose the weapons that suit you according to your needs. Yi Tianyun said solemnly. 12's heart shook as they looked at Yi Tianyun in shock. These were all holy artifacts. The worst was a low-rank holy artifact. They could be said to be very precious. And those elixirs, they were all level 4 and above. They had never seen such high-grade treasures in their lives. When they were caught, their cultivation was at most around the spirit core stage, which was not very high. Now that their cultivation was destroyed, they felt a bit uncertain. But now, not only did Yi Tianyun give them a lot of resources, he also gave them a lot of precious weapons. This meant that it wouldn't be difficult for them to cultivate again. Master, aren't these treasures a bit too precious? Even if they didn't have the slightest bit of greed in their hearts, they would still be shocked if it was really given to them. One had to know that in the outside world, people would fight to the death for it. It's not precious. You deserve it. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice, later on, I will teach you martial arts that suit you. I hope that you will cultivate well and not waste my efforts. If I find anyone slacking off, or giving up, I won't do anything but make the lazy go home obediently and don't stay in my team. Master, we will never be lazy. They shouted in unison. Their voices were sonorous and firm. After this incident, no matter how arrogant and lazy they were in the past, they would change. Very good, then I'll start teaching martial arts later. Soon, they began to choose weapons that suited them. Some liked to use swords, while others liked to use knives. Everyone had different preferences. However, most people preferred to use swords. Swords were relatively more balanced and not as heavy. Soon after, Yi Tianyun taught them martial arts one by one. He didn't have much, but he had a lot of martial arts. He picked out martial arts that suited them and let them cultivate again. With the help of precious pills, not only would they be able to return to their peak, they would also be able to break through further. Watching them cultivate hard, Yi Tianyun believed that it wouldn't take long for the 12 of them to become a super team that could hunt the evil spirit race. The group of people on the side kept screaming, but their expressions didn't change as they continued to cultivate. Just like that, they continued to cultivate here as if nothing had happened. If someone were to come in and see this scene, they would definitely be shocked. On one side, someone was being burned, and on the other side, they were cultivating. It was simply too strange. After temporarily getting rid of the remnants here, Yi Tianyun knew that there were still many remnants that had not been eradicated, but he believed that there wouldn't be too many. As long as the old ancestor level died, the remaining evil spirit race cultivators with relatively low cultivation would not be too difficult to eliminate. They stayed here for half a month, and all of them fiercely raised their cultivation. With the help of so many pills, all of them rushed towards the spirit core stage. They already had a foundation, so it wouldn't be too difficult for them to cultivate back again. Thus, in less than half a month, the cultivation of the 12 of them had quickly recovered by more than half. It was truly terrifying. They cultivated like crazy. Hatred could destroy a person, and it could also push a person's potential to the limit. At the same time, those ancestors were burned for an entire half a month. They were not burned to death, but more than half of their bodies were burned. They didn't even have the strength to shout now. Their lives were hanging by a thread, and they couldn't die even if they wanted to. Yi Tianyun wouldn't let them die so easily, he would let them receive this punishment. It's about time. You guys already have the ability to protect yourselves. While you are cultivating, I will refine a batch of necklaces for you. As long as you get close to the evil spirit race, you will immediately release a red light, proving that the other party is the evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice, at that time, I don't need to say anything, you guys know what to do, right? Previously, he felt that he needed to level up his appraisal eyes in order to find the evil spirit race. After some research, he discovered that after refining a treasure with the blood of the evil spirit race, it would release a red light when it got close to the evil spirit race, indicating that the other party was the evil spirit race. This kind of thing was very useful. It could be given to the experts of the Empire and would be of great help in exterminating the evil spirit race in the mortal realm. This way, even if they were to hide, they would still be discovered. Thank you, Master. They all excitedly took the necklace, even more excited than when they had obtained the sacred artifact. Right now, what they wanted the most was to exterminate the evil spirit race, but they would immediately face a problem, and that was that they would not be able to tell. If they were to hide themselves, such as the heavenly netherworld divine nations, it would not be easy to tell. Only after revealing their strength would they truly know that they were from the evil spirit race. Very good, then I will now hand over your last mission here. Yi Tianyun pointed at the evil spirit race's ancestors who were lying on the ground in pain, and said, do you want to kill them? Yes. It's just that Master's method is even more. They nodded heavily. Even though the evil spirit race had been burned for a long time, they were still unable to quell the anger in their hearts. It's about time. I'll leave their lives to you to settle and fulfill your final wish. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice. Yes, sir. They did not continue to refuse. They wanted to cut them up piece by piece. Soon after, they pounced forward and began to quickly cut down, pulling out their tendons and peeling off their skin. It was absolutely cruel. Compared to the suffering they had suffered, what was this? 12 people, huh? Then I'll name them the 12 golden hairpins. The 12 golden hairpins originally symbolized beauty, but what was described here was that under the beauty, there was a heart filled with vengeance. It was like a thorny rose, if one was not careful, they would hurt the person who picked it. Chapter 779. Under the harvest of the 12 of them, 5 people were completely killed, but the skinning process lasted for more than a day. If other cultivators were here, they would definitely be scared to death. What kind of cruel method was this that made a dozen girls willing to do such a thing? They weren't old at all, the oldest was only 15 or 16 years old, and the youngest was 8 or 9 years old. Each of them was like a madman, and they weren't afraid of the blood or the horrible scene. But after they killed the 5 people, they turned their heads and vomited to the side. Then they hugged each other and cried bitterly. They felt that some things had been put down, and some things were a lot easier. Yi Tianyun also got perfect EXP, and it was all superimposed on the system. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to 6th layer St. King stage. Yi Tianyun successfully broke through again. This time, he used 100 times EXP card to help him break through again. But now, he didn't feel any surprise in his heart, and he felt a bit heavy when he looked at them. The 12 golden hairpins quickly recovered and stood in front of him, bowed deeply, and said, "Thank you, Master." They didn't say anything special, just a simple word of gratitude, and it was enough to express their inner excitement. From today on, I will give you a code name, and that is the 12 golden hairpins. It represents beauty and danger, and your ultimate goal is to eliminate the evil spirit race from the mortal world, understand? Yi Tianyun said solemnly. Understood. There was a bit of surprise in their eyes. They liked this code name very much. Very good, now you can go back to your homes, or go directly to the Heavenly Clouds Empire. Yi Tianyun said indifferently, I almost forgot to introduce myself to you, I am the great emperor of the Heavenly Clouds Empire. Their beautiful eyes were suddenly filled with shock. They didn't know what Yi Tianyun's true identity was, but no matter what, it didn't matter to them. He was the master they had to follow. Who knew that he was the famous Heavenly Cloud's great emperor? It really shocked them. They didn't expect that the famous Heavenly Cloud's great emperor was this young man in front of them. It was really shocking. At first, they had thought that it was some old man. At the very least, he wouldn't be too young. Who would have thought that it was a young man who had saved them? There were even rumors in the outside world that the Heavenly Cloud's great emperor was a debauchee, but now, there was no such thing as a rumor. I plan to go back home, and then go to Heavenly Cloud's empire. I am also planning to go back to my home and talk to my family before going to Heavenly Cloud's empire. I don't have any family left. They were all killed by these bastards. I plan to go to the Heavenly Clouds Empire. More than half of them had lost their families and wanted to return to the Heavenly Clouds Empire. The evil spirit race was simply too ruthless, directly annihilating an entire village and capturing it as food. Alright, I'll bring you out of here. With a wave of his hand, Yi Tianyun brought them out of the palace. At this time, there was no heavenly yin fire around the palace, it was completely absorbed by him. Therefore, it was no longer cold here. When he left, he slammed his hand down, and a wave of power exploded above the palace, completely destroying it. The hiding place of the evil spirit race in the mortal world was completely destroyed. In addition to this, the evil spirit race's cultivation base was weak. There were basically no powerful evil spirit race in the mortal world. Most of them were killed by him, so it was impossible for there to be other powerful evil spirit race. The remaining evil spirit race was always a small part, and most of them should stay in the heaven world or the ghost world. The mortal world's conditions were too restrictive, unlike the ghost world and the heaven world. As long as the bloodline of the evil spirit race was thin, no one would notice it. Soon, they returned to the place where the heaven ascending divine altar was. He found that the heaven ascending divine altar was gone. Obviously, Lan Qingling had taken the heaven ascending divine altar away. It had been half a month since the last time, and if they were still here, the efficiency would be too low. When they swam to the surface, Yi Tianyun separated those who wanted to go back. Many of them lived in the sea. However, only a small portion of them left, and most of them chose to leave with him. Yi Tianyun was not worried that they would never return. They had all become his divine generals, and their loyalty had reached the highest level. It meant that no matter what he did, it would not drop. When he continued to swim forward with them, after swimming for a few hours, they finally saw the huge figure of the heaven-ascending divine altar. Looking from afar, one could see 3 gigantic sea whales trying their best to drag the ascension divine altar forward. Their speed was neither fast nor slow, and was basically no different from a normal person's running speed. If there were not 3 whales, this thing would not be able to move at all. It was like a city standing here. How could it be easily dragged? After dragging for half a month, they were not even halfway there. It seemed that they would need a month to successfully reach their destination. When they swam over, the guards at the side immediately saw them and looked over vigilantly. When they saw that it was Yi Tianyun, they all greeted respectfully, "Young master." Yi Tianyun nodded and swam forward with the others. Soon, he saw Lan Qingling supervising the work of the 3 sea whales in the front, trying to make them swim forward. It was really hard work, and the consumption was absolutely shocking. "Young master, you're back." When Lan Qingling saw Yi Tianyun return, she immediately swam over. "And, it seems that the progress is not bad." Yi Tianyun smiled and said, "I will accompany you for the rest of the time, and wait for the heaven-ascending divine altar to be dragged back to its original position." He originally thought that it would take a lot of time, but it seemed that there was still plenty of time. When the time came, he still had to set up the formation and stabilize the heaven-ascending divine altar. Then, they entered the heaven-ascending divine altar and waited for the transportation. Along the way, Yi Tianyun constantly refined medicinal pills to replenish the energy of the whales. Dragging this thing was too heavy, and the consumption of spiritual energy was shocking. If they wanted to speed up, they would not be able to do it without medicinal pills. With his help, the speed of their progress increased greatly, and in less than a week, they were already faster than before. "Young master, there are many cultivators outside, and they seem to be from the Empire's forces. They have started to attack us, and they want to stop us." Lan Qingling hurriedly came in from outside and reported. Chapter 780. Yi Tianyun knew that there would definitely be people intercepting him. Facing so many mermaids and a palace, how could he not be interested? After he came out of the heaven-ascending divine altar, he immediately saw a large group of cultivators blocking in front of him, and many of them were already fighting with the mermaids. The 3 sea whales were intercepted in front of them, constantly resisting attacks as a meat shield. Water Dragon Empire's people. When Yi Tianyun saw the cultivators intercepting outside, he immediately smiled. He was wondering which empire was so arrogant, but it turned out to be the Water Dragon Empire. The Water Dragon Empire happened to be built in the area on the edge of Demon Cloud Island, so they would definitely come here to intercept the situation. As for the cultivators in Demon Cloud City, they were completely on the side. "Hurry up, catch these mermaids, they can be sold for a good price." "Hey, there is a big palace there, I don't know what treasures are inside, but it looks like it's definitely not bad. Hurry up and catch this sea whale, we must not let it go. When the great emperor comes back, he will definitely reward us." All of them seemed to have gone mad as they rushed over, ready to capture all the mermaids. When they just wanted to attack further, a terrifying force suppressed them, and the cultivators who just wanted to hurt them were immediately shocked into a blood mist. The Water Dragon Empire's general behind was stunned. How did the soldiers they sent out die in the blink of an eye? Who gave you the courage to stop my sea whale? Yi Tianyun flew over and glanced at them indifferently. Behind him were the 12 golden hairpins, but now there were only 8 left, and 4 of them had already gone back. They all followed closely behind, and wherever Yi Tianyun went, they would follow. "How dare you? How dare you kill one of our people? Do you know which force we belong to?" A general swam over and looked at him with killing intent in his eyes. None of them had seen Yi Tianyun before, so they didn't recognize the Heavenly Cloud's great emperor in front of them. At that time, he invited people to congratulate him, but only a few of them. It was impossible for all the great emperors to come with their families to congratulate him. Buzz. At this time, the necklaces on their chests suddenly lit up, which meant that someone in front of them was from the evil spirit race. Their eyes were filled with astonishment at first, but in the blink of an eye, they were filled with killing intent. Yi Tianyun raised his head and saw a few members of the evil spirit race not far away. Their gazes were fixed on Lan Qingling's direction. Some of them were even preparing to leave this place quietly. Undoubtedly, they were planning to report the news. Go! Yi Tianyun gestured with his hand, and the 8 great golden hairpins swam over without hesitation. They gripped their sage-level weapons tightly in their hands and charged forward. Before the other party could react, a sword beam had already pierced through their bodies. Ah! With a scream, they immediately died. After they died, 2 arms suddenly grew out from their backs, completely revealing their true forms. This meant that the ones they had killed were not fake. They were truly evil spirit races. After killing them, the necklace in his bosom immediately stopped shining. The 8 golden hairpins immediately returned to Yi Tianyun's side and waited quietly. I didn't expect you to still dare to attack. If you don't give us an explanation today, no matter what faction you are from, you will all die here. The Water Dragon General was furious. He thought that he would scare them, but he didn't expect that he would immediately attack them. I am from the Heavenly Clouds Empire. Do you want to fight? Yi Tianyun said indifferently. You are from the Heavenly Clouds Empire? The Water Dragon General and the others were startled. After looking at each other, they immediately laughed. Just a few people, and you dare say that you are from the Heavenly Clouds Empire? I am the Heavenly Clouds Great Emperor. Kill them. If the Water Dragon Great Emperor comes back, we won't be able to explain ourselves. Honored guest. Yi Tianyun's eyes narrowed. It seems that the evil spirit race's people that he just killed were sent here to negotiate with the Water Dragon Empire. Originally, I just wanted to kill some of the people in the Water Dragon Empire, but it seems that the entire Water Dragon Empire has become the base camp of the evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun took a step forward, and with a dong sound, a terrifying wave of water surged forward, and the guards who rushed forward were immediately killed. Even the Water Dragon General didn't know what happened, and he was killed by the wave of water. Such terrifying power, they immediately thought of one person, and that was the Heavenly Clouds Great Emperor. The young man in front of them was really the Heavenly Clouds Great Emperor. But it was too late, and they were quickly killed by the water waves. Keep going. Yi Tianyun pointed his finger and signaled the mermaid clan to continue on their way. Most of them hadn't seen Yi Tianyun fight before, so when he did it, they were all shocked. Is this the power of the young master? With just one step in the water, he killed the enemy by relying on the fluctuations of the water waves. With him here, no one can stop the advancement of the heaven-ascending divine altar. The situation here was quickly seen by the cultivators outside. They originally wanted to drink some soup, but when they found a super expert below, they were scared and immediately ran back. As they got closer and closer to the Demon Cloud Island, many people came out of the Demon Cloud Island and looked over. Many people looked at the mermaid clan with greed in their eyes. They all wanted to catch a mermaid so that they could live without worrying about food and clothing. It's a mermaid, I want to go down and catch a mermaid. There's also a sea whale. If you can cut a large piece of sea whale meat, it's also worth a lot of money. Did you see that temple? Isn't that the temple that was dragged away by the sea demons before? Why did they send it back now? It's a bit strange. All of them were shocked, and they didn't know why a large number of mermaid clan would drag the temple here. But no matter what the reason was, they only had eyes for the mermaids. As long as they could catch a mermaid, the price would be at least 1,000,000 spirit stones, which was a lot of money for them. Although it was dangerous in front of them, greed had clouded their minds. Don't make a mistake. If anyone dares to harm the mermaid clan, I'll make sure they die in this sea. Yi Tianyun flew in the air and looked at them coldly. He could ignore the hunting of sea beasts, but the mermaid clan could be said to be a great hero, and now they were his subordinates, so he absolutely couldn't touch them. Why can't we touch them just because you said so? Who do you think you are? Someone immediately retorted. For them, this was a lot of money. Because I am the heavenly cloud's great emperor, is this enough? As soon as his voice fell, a terrifying aura gushed out of his body and shrouded the entire demon cloud island, forcing all the cultivators to kneel on the ground. The terrifying aura made them not even have the courage to stand up, and their legs went soft. Chapter 781. Heavens, Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor, he is actually the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor? My God, I missed the opportunity to talk to the Great Emperor. Qian Lang exclaimed on the side. When he saw Yi Tianyun flying up, he felt that he was very familiar. When they took a closer look, they found that it was the person they saved before, but it was the person who saved them later. Now that he said that he was the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor, it really surprised them. They didn't expect that the person who saved them before was the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor, the idol of most people. Yes, it's really the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor. Lin Xiang was also shocked, looking at Yi Tianyun flying in the air in the distance, he didn't know what to say. Some people said that the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor was extremely violent, killing people without blinking an eye, or doing many evil things. After they met, they found that it was not the case at all. The rise of Yi Tianyun and his domineering attitude made many people have a good impression on him, and they even regarded him as an idol of worship. In this world that worshipped force, it was really admirable to suppress so many empires with such strong power. Some people liked him, but there were certainly people who hated him. Some people hated such arrogant people, thinking that if he was suppressed by a stronger person, then the Heavenly Cloud's empire would definitely collapse. Who knew that after such a long time, not only could no one suppress Yi Tianyun, but they were also suppressed by him. As long as someone provoked Yi Tianyun, they would be suppressed. Now, with his tyrannical momentum, he began to establish a huge alliance, which made people wonder if Yi Tianyun wanted to rule the entire mortal world. This was something that no one could do for a long time. Now that the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor appeared in front of them and released his domineering power, they had to believe that the young man in front of them was the legendary Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor. After he withdrew his aura, he looked at them indifferently to see what reaction they would have. I don't accept this. At this time, a cultivator suddenly stood up. After the aura was withdrawn, they could finally move. After standing up, they pointed at Yi Tianyun and said angrily, even if you are the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor, so what? You said we can't touch the mermaid clan. You are clearly a human, why would you help the mermaid race? A person stood up and scolded Yi Tianyun, which surprised many people. Someone really had the guts to stand up and question the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor. That's right, I'm not convinced either. I know I might die if I say it out loud, but why should the mermaid clan be monopolized by you? Rumor has it that the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor is a licentious man. I didn't believe it before, but now I do. Could it be that the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor wants to take over the entire mermaid clan? Let's not talk about the mermaid clan for now. Just the temple alone is enough. He heard that this temple has always been under the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor's control. Is it reasonable for the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor to take it for himself? We've worked so hard to stay here for so long, but we haven't earned anything. Instead, you've taken everything as soon as you arrived. Is this fair? Even if I am killed today, I will say it. He told everyone to spread the news about the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor. He wanted to take everything for himself. We just wanted to cultivate here, but who would have thought that this place would be taken over by someone else? As soon as one person came out, another person came out. One by one, they stood up and pointed at Yi Tianyun and scolded him. The point was that what they said was quite reasonable. They were not from the same race, so why would he protect another race? Could it be that the rumors were true, that Yi Tianyun was a lecher? Their words immediately aroused the anger of the crowd. Their hearts were full of unwillingness. They all admitted that the difference in strength was too big, but even so, could he suppress them with his aura? Did he really force them into a corner? When everyone looked at Yi Tianyun, wanting to see how he would answer, Yi Tianyun gently raised his hand, and several rays of light pierced through the people who had spoken before. Then there was a big hole in their chest, and they fell directly to the ground, unable to get up. The crowd gasped. As expected of a great emperor, he killed people without hesitation. Many of them wanted to resist. But now, it was as if a basin of cold water was poured on them, and they were all chilled from head to toe. How could they still have the courage to stand up? If they followed Yi Tianyun, they would die. Kill. Kill us all if you have the guts. We are weak, but we all have dignity. Everyone, come with me, we have so many people, I don't believe that we can't snatch a treasure. Snatch the fishman, snatch the treasure. Yes, there are so many of us, kill us all. You cold-blooded demon, I heard that you are highly respected, but I think it's bullshit. You are a tyrant, and anyone who disobeys will die. We didn't even provoke him, and now we don't even have a place to live. One by one, they rose up, wanting to maintain their last dignity and fight with Yi Tianyun. People can die, but they can't lose their dignity. The Empress and the others remained silent. This could easily cause public anger. Killing them all could solve the problem, but if this matter spread to the other continents, then Yi Tianyun's prestige would collapse. This was undoubtedly making an enemy of the entire mortal realm. No one liked a tyrant, and no one would join a tyrant's faction. In this way, even if a person was very strong, he would still be overthrown in the end. However, they didn't have the right to speak, and could only watch from the sidelines, watching how Yi Tianyun would resolve the chaos here. If he couldn't handle it well, they felt that Yi Tianyun would probably have a very big problem in terms of management. Yi Tianyun stretched out a hand and lightly flicked, and a few more beams of light shot out, killing the people who had been shouting just now. This situation shocked many people. It looked like this time, Yi Tianyun was really planning to use force to suppress people. Yi Tianyun's figure flashed, and he arrived outside the demon cloud city with the 8 great golden hairpins. The group of people was so frightened that they retreated continuously, worried that they would be killed by him. Most people didn't want to die, but the anger in their hearts was already almost uncontrollable. Killing people at the slightest disagreement, they didn't believe that so many people would be killed. Yes, if you have the ability, kill me, you demon. We only asked a few questions, and you want to kill us. I'm not afraid of death, come and kill me. A youth walked out and said angrily, to think that I worshipped you, thinking that you were the benevolent great emperor, but now it seems that you are not. As one youth walked out, more people walked out, all of them filled with anger. If they didn't come out, then they wouldn't even have the right to speak. You were bewitched by a group of foreign demons and didn't even know it. Yi Tianyun shook his head and waved his hand to raise the corpses. With a light flick of his hand, these corpses immediately revealed their true bodies. 2 arms grew from their backs, and their bodies had become incomparably black. Clearly, they weren't humans. Chapter 782. What kind of race is this? Why are they disguised as us? When they saw this scene, they were shocked. It looked like a completely different species. How was it a human? It was not even a sea demon. It looked very strange. No matter what, they disguised as a human and mixed in with their group, it was definitely not a good idea. At least the sea demons wouldn't mix in with them, let alone associate with them. When the Empress saw this, she was shocked. They didn't expect that the one causing trouble here turned out to be the evil spirit race. They constantly stirred up emotions to make others resist, so that they could ruin Yi Tianyun's reputation. A strong cultivation could suppress everything, but it was impossible to suppress all the cultivators in the mortal world. There would always be a time when they would be overthrown. At that time, assassinations would be everywhere, even if they were safe. What about their loved ones? This was the result of angering the whole world, and they would definitely be killed. Unless they killed everyone in the world, it would be impossible to stop. Their faces were gloomy. The evil spirit race was indeed the evil spirit race. They were so ruthless. If Yi Tianyun was an extremely impulsive person, he would really kill everyone, and it would not be a good thing to cause public anger. Yi Tianyun wasn't that stupid. After glancing coldly at the crowd, he said in a deep voice, "Go." The 8 golden hairpins couldn't bear it anymore. They immediately disappeared in place with their weapons in hand. Their cultivation was not high, but they all cultivated heaven-grade martial arts, plus their own talent was not low, and coupled with their sage tools, they were unstoppable. In the blink of an eye, they rushed into the crowd, and soon many people were killed. One after another, screams came from afar. But after they killed them, everyone found that the person lying on the ground was not an ordinary cultivator at all, it was the evil spirit race. No one was killed wrongly, it was definitely the evil spirit race, not the human race. Run! At this time, some people quickly fled to the side, but they fled in different directions. If they all fled in the same direction, they would definitely be caught. Want to leave? Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and grabbed the void, and the fleeing cultivators were caught back. No matter how they struggled in the air, it was useless. Let me go, you hypocritical heavenly cloud's great emperor. What do you want to do to your own race? Kill innocent people, you tyrant. They were still resisting. They wanted to judge Yi Tianyun as a tyrant, so that other cultivators could help them. However, it was useless. No one else dared to move. The people that the 8 golden hairpins had killed all revealed their true forms. They were all from the evil spirit race, not the human race. This meant that they didn't kill the wrong people, they were really demons. Same race, you think you are worthy to be my race? Yi Tianyun sneered and clenched the void. Bang! Their power was forced out, and 2 black arms emerged from their backs. The evil spirits were born with having evil spirits. They had the power of devouring. They could devour other races and turn them into their own power. This kind of evil power could be sensed if one carefully sensed it. This is not human at all. What kind of race are they? They look so strange. I thought that the heavenly cloud's great emperor killed the same race, but who knew that they are not the same race? What is going on? Why did they sneak in? What is their intention? These guys want to incite us to fight against the heavenly cloud's great emperor. We were almost fooled. Their hearts were cold, and they almost wanted to kill the evil spirit race, but fortunately, they didn't act so impulsively. Yi Tianyun killed the evil spirit race and made them expose themselves to prove that he didn't kill the wrong people. They are demons from the outside, called evil spirit race. Their ability is very simple, that is to devour all races except their own race. Of course, it is hard to say whether they will devour their own race or not. At least, they can devour any race in the 3 realms and turn them into their own energy. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed, and he immediately cast the Eye of Enchantment. 2 of them seemed to be bewitched, and their bodies stiffened, standing in the same place. Tell me your plan, as well as what you've done here. Tell me everything. Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice, also, who did you kill and who did you devour? Tell me one by one. We plan to sneak in and capture some talented cultivators, and let our race devour them so that we can improve our cultivation. At the same time, we also want to devour the cultivators here to satisfy our appetite and improve our cultivation. I devoured Lu Meng and an 8-year-old child before. The taste was very delicious. I devoured Sinyu, who had a higher cultivation than me, but that kid didn't have any vigilance against me, so he deserved to be eaten. The 2 of them told their own situation. As for the others, they didn't say anything, but what they said was already shocking enough. What happened? You devoured Brother Sun. One of them shouted angrily. No wonder Brother Sun disappeared. It turned out that he was devoured by a demon like you. He even eats children. What a beast. I didn't expect there to be such a race, they even eat children. My child is gone." All of them were shocked and angry. They didn't expect such a demon to exist. It was completely a demon beast. Demon beasts also eat anything, but the problem was that these guys looked very normal, and they could even speak human language. The most terrifying thing was that they could sneak in and pretend to be human, which was the most terrifying thing. I don't know if you have heard of it, but a long time ago, there was a rumor that a group of demons from outer space invaded, and who resisted it? That was resisted by the heaven-creating Divine King. In the mortal world, in addition to the heaven-creating Divine King, there was also the mermaid race to help. If it weren't for the heaven-creating Divine King and the mermaid race, do you think you would still exist in this world, and have a stable life? Now, not only do you not repay the kindness, but you also want to capture the mermaid race? I know your hard work, and I also know your efforts, but there are some things that need to be clarified. Who are the enemies? Who are the friends? Whether you are selfish or not, whoever dares to touch a finger of the mermaid race, I will destroy his entire race. What tyrant, what wise monarch, I don't care at all. I only know that you can live here safely now. They have a lot of credit. Even now, you still want to capture them. Where is your conscience? Some people can never be awakened. Tianyun doesn't expect to wake them up completely, but at least some people can know the truth of history. After all, no matter what race, there will be some scum, inferior to beasts. Even if the world is swallowed up, they will not have the slightest thought of coming out to help. He had experienced this kind of people in the heaven realm. Even the 8 great divine nations were a bunch of trash. He did this because he believed that there are still many people willing to unite, willing to give everything, their blood, their efforts, and even their lives. He obtained the memory of the King of the Heavens. At that time, in addition to the mermaid race, many cultivators sacrificed themselves and gave everything. Now, they were about to usher in the terrible dark days. He could feel that it would not be too short. Chapter 783. Everyone in the Demon Cloud City did not speak. They all stood in silence, and no one knew what they were thinking. I don't know what you are thinking, but you all saw the situation just now. This evil spirit race is quietly hiding beside us, crazily devouring our own race. To be honest, there are many of these evil spirit race in the mortal realm. I don't know how many there are. There may be a companion who looks good, but in fact, he secretly wants to devour you. When Tianyun said this, they all felt a chill in their hearts, feeling extremely terrified. Although there have been fights between cultivators, if there is no problem, they will not kill each other. Most of them live in harmony and do not often fight and kill. They often go to kill demon beasts together. After all, in the mortal realm, the number of demon beasts is also astonishing. Or they come to the sea to kill some sea beasts. There are countless sea beasts here, and they can't be killed. Not only that, these evil spirit race may also come from the outside world, or from the heavenly realm in the netherworld. These are all possible. Tianyun's words are not alarmist, but true. There are at least tens of thousands of cultivators in the Demon Cloud City. If he wanted to, he could easily kill them all, as if he was stepping on a group of ants. But now, he is trying his best to explain it. The reason is very simple. He wants so many people to spread the news. Cultivators from all over the Demon Cloud City have gathered in the Demon Cloud City. They may be from the Water Dragon Empire, the Heaven Primordial Empire, or other empires. Basically, they were all cultivators from different empires. After they left this area, they would spread the news of what had happened here, playing an absolute role in spreading the news. They have all seen the evil spirit race, so they can say how terrifying it is. If he said that demons would come in during the alliance, who would believe it? It is better to say that demon beasts are attacking. Most people will not believe things that they have not seen before. There are so many people here, so it is more credible to say it out. I ask you now, are you willing to resist these demons? Are you willing to use your own life to resist these foreign demons? Tianyun said solemnly, whether you are willing or not, I am willing to use my life to kill all the invading fiendish demons. The reason is very simple, it is not to protect you, but to protect my family, to protect my friends. Are you willing to do this? Yi Tianyun looked at them with a burning gaze. He was speaking the truth. Who said he was doing it for the sake of the world? This was simply a joke, a fart. Most of it was nonsense. Under his burning gaze, someone quickly stood up and shouted, I'm willing. My friend has been missing for a long time. He might have been eaten by these demons. Me too. I just want to protect my family and myself. I'm willing to kill these demons. Me too. Kill all these bastards. Kill all these trash. All of them were willing to step forward. Their deafening roars resounded throughout the entire sea region. Heavenly Cloud's great emperor, can we join the Heavenly Cloud's empire? I want to serve the Heavenly Cloud's empire. Someone suddenly asked this question, and many people had the same thought in their hearts. Yi Tianyun's behavior made them admire him even more. How could they not want to join? Yes, there is no problem at all. Yi Tianyun smiled lightly and said, I am very happy to let you join the Heavenly Cloud's empire. The Heavenly Cloud's empire will always welcome you to join us and kill the demons together. Suddenly, everyone cheered. Some were silent, some were disdainful, but most chose to support Yi Tianyun. There were all kinds of people in the world, and Yi Tianyun couldn't care less. He just needed to manage his own forces. What he could do now was to unite most of the forces in the mortal world. As for those who didn't unite, they could choose to go alone. That's fine, I won't send you off. When the demons came, they would have to bear the responsibility for everything. He asked his men to ally with other empires, but that was only limited to empires. As for the other small forces, if they didn't choose to join, they could do whatever they wanted. The main reason why he chose the empires was that they were powerful enough. There were too many small forces, and it would be a waste of time if he went to talk to them one by one. Therefore, he told his men to go to the Empire Alliance instead of the small forces. The progress wouldn't be too slow, but it definitely wouldn't be fast. But now that the news had spread, he believed that there would be more alliances. Ding! Completed achievement Worshipper, rewarded 1000 commander points, 1 billion EXP, 100,000 crazy points. The sudden achievement stunned him. He didn't expect there to be such benefits. He just said a few words, and many people chose to trust him and choose to join him, and he got so many benefits. This was simply too easy to earn. It was just that he needed too many people to worship him in order to have such an effect. It was meaningless to just listen to his name, they needed to worship him in person to have an effect. Commander points were a good thing. He could easily convince so many people not only because he had a good reason, but also because he had a lot of commander points. I told you that young master would do a good job. Lan Qingling clapped her hands, she was very excited and felt quite happy. The Empress nodded. She was worried that Yi Tianyun was too young to be able to suppress the anger in his heart. Who knew that everything was done so perfectly? Not only did he suppress many cultivators, but he also made them follow him. Although they didn't like humans, this was their own business. They still didn't want to see Yi Tianyun's relationship with the human race. The human race was the largest in the mortal world. If it caused public anger, one could imagine the seriousness of the problem. Therefore, most of them just defended themselves. They didn't dare to go into the city and kill at will. Once they provoked someone strong, they would definitely be finished. After this incident, many people have remembered a very old legend. It was a foreign demon attack, and the heaven-creating divine king brought many strong cultivators to protect them. This thing was thought to be a legend, no one has experienced it, who knows whether it is true or not. After most of the people settled down, he continued to move the heaven-ascending divine altar forward, and soon moved back to its original position. Then he quickly carved divine runes on the side and fixed the heaven-ascending divine altar in place. Buzz! A light rose into the sky, representing that the heaven ascending divine altar returned to its original position, restoring the effect of teleportation. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be able to repair it, but he is different now, with the inheritance of the heaven-creating divine king, he can definitely repair it. Finally, one of my worries has been solved. Now I just need to kill all the evil spirit race in the mortal world. Chapter 784. After stabilizing the Heaven Ascension Divine Altar, the golden light made many people's eyes light up, but since it belonged to Yi Tianyun, most of them didn't think too much about it. The ones who had the idea before were just the evil spirit race's provocation. Most of them didn't dare to think too much from the beginning. They worked so hard to snatch it back, why should they share it with them? But the charm of provocation lies in this, so many people are willing to take action, so the original rational people will be tempted. At this time, when Yi Tianyun came back to the Demon Cloud City and announced to everyone that they could enter the Heaven Ascension Divine Altar to cultivate, it immediately attracted a burst of cheers. They didn't think that Yi Tianyun would let them in, but who knew that he really let them in, raising their prestige again. There was nothing wrong with letting them in, it was just an empty room, and there were no treasures inside. He intended to let the mortal world's Heaven Ascension Divine Altar be completely open to all cultivators, just like the Heaven Ascension Divine Altar in the Heaven Realm. Anyway, as long as they don't destroy the Heaven Ascension Divine Altar, there will be no problem. He also announced some rules, such as when they can enter the trial and when they can't. At the same time, he also added a new rule, that is, the powerhouses who successfully reach the top can choose to join the Heavenly Cloud's Great Emperor and get focus training. In a sense, it is equivalent to selecting excellent geniuses, and it will allow some rogue cultivators to choose to join them, strengthening the strength of the Heavenly Cloud's empire. Ding! Wanma Empire successfully formed an alliance, gaining 1 billion EXP, 10,000 crazy point, 10,000 proficiency. This is the second empire that successfully formed an alliance, and some empires are still in detailed negotiations. But he believes that after the Demon Cloud City incident, this progress will be accelerated. During this period, he refined a lot of necklaces that can identify the evil spirit race. In fact, this thing is quite simple to refine, he just needs to put a little evil spirit race's blood in it. He killed so many evil spirit race people, and he deliberately extracted a lot of their blood to test, and finally, he was able to make such a necklace. The principle is very simple, as long as the evil spirit race is around, there will be a reaction, similar to the feeling of discovering the same race. To put it bluntly, it is to let the blood of the same race find the same race. This necklace is not even a spirit tool, it is like ordinary iron, it has no effect at all. The only effect was to find the evil spirit race. It was that simple. Because of this, he only needed a few materials to make a large batch of necklaces. It was as if he didn't need money, and he could easily make tens of thousands of necklaces. If he were to continue refining for a few more days, he would be able to pile them up into a mountain. The reason he did this was so that he could completely kill all the evil spirit race. It had nothing to do with the main mission, it was all to exterminate all the evil spirit race. It would be too difficult for him to kill them alone. He would need the power of the entire mortal world or the power of all the empires to be able to kill these evil spirit race. While he was trying his best to refine the necklace, the situation of the Demon Cloud City quickly spread to the outside world. After many forces learned about it, they were greatly shocked. They didn't expect such a demon to exist in the Heavenly Cloud's empire, and many empires were scared to ally with the Heavenly Cloud's empire. If there were really demons hiding nearby, how could they not panic? They needed a large number of necklaces to find these evil spirit races. They are not afraid of demon beasts, they can at least recognize them at a glance, but evil spirit race is different, they can easily hide among them like a human, how can they not panic? Ding! Fading Empire successfully formed an alliance, gained 2 billion EXP, 200,000 crazy point, 200,000 proficiency. Ding! Huayan Empire successfully formed an alliance, gained 1. 5 billion EXP, 150,000 crazy point, 150,000 proficiency. Ding, Qingyun's sect successfully formed an alliance, gained 50 million EXP, 50,000 crazy point, 10,000 proficiency. Ding, the news of successfully forming an alliance with the Heavenly Clouds Empire began to spread like wildfire, including some small forces. The Heavenly Clouds Empire will definitely not take the initiative to find this alliance, they will only find the Imperial forces, not the small forces. Therefore, the Heavenly Clouds Empire will certainly not refuse these small forces who came to form an alliance. Some of them don't need any benefits, they just want these necklaces. Yi Tianyun refined a batch of necklaces, but it was completely out of supply. In the beginning, he refined 10,000 necklaces a day, but later, he refined 20,000 to 30,000 necklaces a day. Fortunately, the necklaces are the most common profound iron, otherwise, it would be really terrible. How can there be so many resources to refine so many necklaces? It should be said that each force can only give a few necklaces, no more than that. Now, the only way to get these necklaces is to form an alliance, so many Imperial forces immediately chose to form an alliance. Originally, they were hesitant about why Yi Tianyun formed an alliance, thinking that he wanted to be the alliance master or something. Now, they realized that they were wrong. It turned out that Yi Tianyun wanted to form an alliance to suppress these evil spirit race. Some believe it, and most would rather believe it than not. Some remained silent, but soon it led to another outbreak. Because some forces relied on these necklaces to immediately find the evil spirit race hiding in their own forces, and after killing them, they found out that it was really another race. Suddenly, the voices rose again, and those who were disdainful and didn't believe Yi Tianyun at first, but later on, they rushed to worship Yi Tianyun. Because some forces have long noticed that something is wrong, why do people always disappear? It turns out that they were swallowed by the evil spirit race. Yi Tianyun can be said to be very busy, he has been refining necklaces, and at the same time, honed his forging level. Unsurprisingly, he easily broke through to the level of Forging Master, and quickly advanced to the level of Forging Grandmaster. The speed is quite amazing. It is rare for him to concentrate on forging necklaces, and the proficiency he gained is amazing. He doesn't need to fight and kill now, he can leave it to the Imperial forces in the mortal world. They have a large number of people, and killing them is more efficient. Not only does it waste time, but it also gives him no experience. After a full month of refining, Yi Tianyun has refined a lot of necklaces, the number can be said to be quite amazing, at least 1 million. Compared to the mortal world, it is a drop in the bucket, but giving each force 100 necklaces is enough. If everyone was given one, wouldn't he go crazy from refining? At least in the tens of billions, the mortal world is smaller than the heaven world, but it still has an amazing number of people. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun, successfully broke through to the 7th layer of Saint King stage. Chapter 785. After Yi Tianyun finished refining the necklace, he took the 12 golden hairpins back to the Heavenly Clouds Empire. As for the mermaid race, he arranged for them to stay in the sea. At the same time, he gave them great authority in the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar, allowing them to control most areas of the Heaven Ascending Divine Altar except for him. As for other cultivators, they wouldn't have any thoughts about the mermaid race at all. Regardless of whether the mermaid race was the hero who resisted the demons or not, just Yi Tianyun said that no one would dare to touch them anymore. After all, many cultivators were too lazy to care about such things. They just wanted to live now. The demons were things of the past, and it had nothing to do with them. For this reason, Yi Tianyun had to issue an order. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to protect them. The mermaid race's current situation was relatively weak, and facing so many cultivators, they would always be attacked. After returning to the Heavenly Clouds Empire, Yi Tianyun immediately arranged for the 12 golden hairpins to be the law enforcement hall here, and let Yi Yue and the others teach them well. From now on, they would be the law enforcement team here, specializing in beheading traitors or evil spirit race hiding nearby. At the same time, they could patrol the Alliance Empire at any time, and they had the absolute right to kill. They could kill those who obstructed them, and they could also kill evil spirit race. As long as they obstructed them, they would be killed. As Yi Tianyun's divine generals, they were extremely loyal, so they would definitely be given great power. Of course, Yi Yue and the others weren't divine generals, but they were also absolutely loyal. The difference was that they were Yi Tianyun's friends and confidants, so they couldn't betray him. Their high favorability was enough to explain everything. Yi Tianyun had a very simple way of using people. In addition to their ability, their favorability must be absolutely high. A high favorability meant absolute loyalty, and the higher it went, the more impossible it would go down. They had absolute trust in him, and no matter how many rumors there were outside, they wouldn't believe it. Even if it was true, so what? So what if they were enemies with the world? It's almost time to return to the underworld. This trip to the underworld was undoubtedly to see the situation of the descendants of the ancient underworld god king. His biggest problem now was to unite the absolute power of the three realms, so that they could work together to resist the terrifying demons. Although he could go in and kill countless demonic beasts to make a breakthrough in his cultivation level, he could not do so. However, the difficulty was slightly higher as there weren't many monstrous beasts at the Saint King stage, and even Saint King stage powerhouses were few in number. It would be difficult for him to break through in a short period of time. Even if he did, he would not be able to take care of the situation in the three realms. Godly kings were not absolutely invincible. The situation at the beginning was the best proof. 3 godly kings had joined forces to resist, but they had still created such a terrifying destructive situation. To put it bluntly, a single god king could not take care of the entire 3 realms. Perhaps he would say that it was enough to protect the mortal realm and that the other worlds had nothing to do with him. But the problem was precisely the most serious. If the heaven realm and the underworld were conquered, they would be attacked from the front and back. Once they launched a general attack, they would definitely be destroyed. With Yi Tianyun's strength, he might be able to survive, but what about the others? What about his family and friends? Everything would sink into fear and a sense of helplessness. Unless one was unbelievably powerful and could casually envelop every corner of the 3 realms, it was necessary to establish a powerful force. Therefore, after giving his instructions, he quickly flew to the underworld. During this period, experience points were constantly being transferred to him. If he formed an alliance with a force, he would definitely gain a lot of experience points. If I can form an alliance with a divine kingdom, I wonder how much experience points I can gain. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. In the heaven realm, he could borrow the power of the Fengtian divine kingdom to form an alliance with other divine kingdoms. The experience points he would gain would definitely be amazing, right? But this plan had to be put on hold for the time being. Without absolute strength, no one would be willing to form an alliance. At the end of the day, he still needed absolute strength to form an alliance. If he did not have absolute strength, even if he formed an alliance, he could only listen to others. No matter what, he planned to go to the underworld to deal with some matters. He was afraid that there would not be much time left. Soon, he arrived at the underworld. The environment here had not changed much. As soon as he arrived, he directly flew to the heavenly netherworld sacred ground. The area where the heavenly netherworld sacred ground was located was naturally not in the area of the heavenly netherworld divine kingdom, but in an extremely remote area of the underworld. It could be said that the heavenly netherworld sacred ground claimed to be the coldest area. If the heavenly netherworld sacred ground said that it was the second coldest, no one would dare to say that it was the coldest. The terrifying cold was enough to instantly turn a spirit core cultivator into an ice sculpture. But it was in this terrible place that the ancient underworld divine king had established his own divine kingdom. It was really incredible. Didn't it mean that his descendants would die here before reaching the spirit core stage? Yi Tianyun's eyes flickered. The ancient underworld divine kingdom was probably doomed. Because in the ranking outside, there was no trace of the ancient underworld divine kingdom at all. Just like the flying divine kingdom established by the heaven-creating divine king, it had disappeared without a trace. The older generation of the divine kingdom still knew about these divine kingdoms, but most of the younger generation had long since forgotten about these divine kingdoms. At his amazing speed, he still flew for more than half a month. Finally, he arrived at the most remote area. As soon as he arrived, a terrifying cold immediately swept over. It could really quickly freeze the cultivation of those below the spirit core stage. Looking from afar, there was a world of ice and snow in front of him. It was also a world of ice and snow, but the ice and snow here was dozens of times more terrifying than what he saw outside. He could vaguely see the heavenly Yin fire floating in the air. Even on the ground, he could see the heavenly Yin fire and the netherworld fire that had not evolved from time to time. This could be said to be the birthplace of the netherworld fire. If a cultivator walked here and was touched by the netherworld fire, how could he not be frozen into an ice sculpture? Along the way, he could see a lot of human-shaped ice sculptures and ice sculptures of demonic beasts. Of course, these were not carved by people, but a group of cultivators or demonic beasts who intended to explore this place. In addition, in the sky of the ice and snow, there was a tall tower that pierced the sky, as if it connected the sky and the earth together. The invincible pagoda was shocking to behold. This tower was the ancient underworld divine kingdom. Yes, the ancient underworld divine kingdom was this tower. It was not a huge city, but a tower that pierced the sky, and the top could not be seen at all. Chapter 786. Is this the ancient underworld divine pagoda? Tianyun narrowed his eyes, and detailed information immediately appeared in front of him. Ancient underworld god pagoda, high-grade god weapon. Possesses absolute suppressive power. It can change its size at will. The internal space can be expanded to more than 1,000 miles. At the same time, it could suck in experts and trap them, making it impossible for them to escape. Furthermore, they could set any rules inside, and those who violated the rules would be severely punished. It was indeed a super divine artifact. It could suck powerful enemies into it and throw it at them. It could change its size at will. From afar, it looked so terrifying. If it was pressed down, who would be able to resist? Especially since it had the ability to expand to more than 1,000 miles. Even if someone could travel 1,000 miles in an instant, they would be crushed by the ancient Ming god pagoda. More than 1,000 li was not the limit, but it could continue to expand. The ancient Ming divine pagoda was a heaven-guarding divine artifact created by the king of the heavens with his blood, sweat, and tears. It was made by combining the essence blood of the ancient underworld godly king and countless precious materials. It could be said to be one of the greatest achievements of the king of the heavens. However, this wasn't his greatest achievement, as it had long since been taken away. They wanted to leave this place and fight in an unknown place. They definitely needed some treasures to protect themselves. Otherwise, it would be a waste if they died outside. The main reason why the King of the Heavens was willing to put in so much effort to forge a high-grade god weapon was because it was meant to fend off demons. The effect was the same as that of the 10 stars. They were all left here to suppress the demons. However, its effect was even more astonishing. It was not without reason that it was standing here. This area was the key point where the demons had charged in at the very beginning. It was like a gate. The ancient Ming divine pagoda was like a gate that blocked off the demons from entering. If one tried to force their way in, they would be immediately sucked in and punished. Because of this, a high-grade godly weapon like the ancient underworld divine pagoda was not taken away. Instead, it was left here as the most powerful godly weapon to guard the underworld. At the same time, the ancient underworld divine pagoda was also the castle of the ancient underworld divine kingdom. It was just that they couldn't control the ancient Ming divine pagoda, but they were all under the protection of the ancient Ming divine pagoda. It sounded very safe. A high-grade divine artifact could protect them like that. How could it possibly deteriorate? The truth was cruel. There was no news about the ancient Ming divine kingdom in the outside world. It was as if it had completely disappeared. Now, he was going to solve the puzzle and see what the divine kingdom of ancient Ming had become. Did it decline, or did it continue to survive? He quickly flew over, but just as he was about to arrive, a pressure began to fall from the sky. Even with his Saint King stage 7th stage cultivation, he was still suppressed to the point where he couldn't continue to fly. He was facing a high-grade god artifact, one that possessed a large amount of ancient underworld godly king's blood essence. This was equivalent to standing in front of a god king. A Saint King stage powerhouse was like an ant. Although the power that Yi Tianyun had unleashed was enough to suppress everything, and he might even be comparable to a god king, it was still just an estimate. He had never fought against a god king before, so he wasn't clear on the specifics. It was just that from the looks of it, there was still quite a gap between them and a god king. They were easily suppressed, unable to fly. If their cultivation bases were the same, they wouldn't be suppressed like this. Their strength wouldn't be affected, and they would definitely be able to fly. If I unleash my full power, I should be able to fly. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes and unleashed his full power. It was very likely that he would be able to fly, but he didn't intend to fly. Instead, he planned to walk step by step. Because there were cultivators all around, there were not many people walking towards the ancient Ming divine pagoda. Although it was dangerous here, there were many people who came here. Their cultivation bases were above the core transformation stage, and there were also spirit core stage cultivators. However, they had an ice attribute physique, so they would definitely be able to resist. The cultivation bases below the spirit core stage referred to most of them, but there would be no problem for a few. For example, cultivators with an ice attribute physique, or cultivators with mystical flames. At a glance, Yi Tianyun knew that they were definitely not from the ancient Ming divine kingdom. They were dressed differently, and it was obvious that this was the first time they had come here. Before coming here, he had inquired about the situation here a little bit. Some people knew that there was an ancient Ming divine pagoda here, but those who went there never came back, so no one knew what happened. Over time, no one paid attention to this matter, or they didn't dare to go there. Even so, there were still people who went there, and the cultivators in front of him were examples. Fellow cultivators, are you all planning to go to the ancient Ming divine kingdom? Yi Tianyun took the initiative to walk over and ask. When Yi Tianyun came over and asked, they immediately became vigilant. Under their thick clothes, their heads were exposed, and they looked at Yi Tianyun from head to toe. They were wearing very thick clothes, while Yi Tianyun was wearing very little. There was still a big gap between them. Senior, we are indeed going to the ancient Ming divine kingdom. Is there a problem? They directly called him senior. Those who dared to wear so little here were either invincible cultivators, or the clothes they were wearing were precious armor. Otherwise, who would dare to wear so little in such a cold place? They were able to resist the cold, but they could barely do so. Why are you here? Didn't they say that only people can enter the ancient Ming divine kingdom, but no one can leave? How dare you go there? Yi Tianyun was very curious about their purpose of coming to such a dangerous place. It's a long story. We are afraid that the walls have ears. I wonder if senior can come closer. One of the core transformation stage cultivators said. Yi Tianyun didn't think much of it. He lifted his feet and walked over. It seemed that he was really listening to the teacher. Come closer. The core transformation stage cultivator continued to say. Yi Tianyun did the same. When he just moved his head closer, a cold light flashed in the hand of the core transformation stage cultivator, and he greeted his neck. In an instant, the core transformation stage cultivator burst out with all his strength, and wanted to pierce through his head in one fell swoop. However, Yi Tianyun was faster than him. He grabbed the core transformation stage cultivator's hand and crushed it. At the same time, he sneered and said, I just want to ask something. I didn't expect you to attack me. Do you really think that I am stupid and can be fooled at will? The core transformation stage cultivator was so strange, and he knew that there was a problem. It was safe enough to send a sound transmission, but he still wanted to whisper in his ear. Only a fool would do that. Attack! The other core transformation stage cultivators immediately rushed towards Yi Tianyun. They wanted to save their boss. Yi Tianyun lifted his foot and kicked the other two core transformation stage cultivators. Bang! The other two core transformation stage cultivators were kicked away, and after rolling on the ground for a few times, they were no longer breathing. I will speak, I will speak. The core transformation stage cultivator shouted in horror. His companions were killed, so how could he dare to resist? I don't want to listen to you now. In my opinion, you are here to seek refuge. The more dangerous it is, the more you will come to seek refuge. Yi Tianyun said indifferently. You, how do you know? The core transformation stage cultivator revealed his face. His face was full of scars. It was obvious that he had killed many people and robbed them. Otherwise, how could he be so skilled in killing people? Just by looking at you guys, I know what you guys do. Yi Tianyun said indifferently. I didn't want to pay attention to you, but who knew that you would really attack me? Go to hell. Chapter 787. Yi Tianyun saw through their tricks easily. He just pretended to go there to play, but they still want to kill him, so that they can earn more money by robbing him. If it was some ignorant fool, he might have been fooled, but it was too boring for him. If they couldn't see through it, then they shouldn't have come out to train, or they wouldn't even know why they died outside. Ancient underworld divine pagoda, a holy place to hide? Yi Tianyun squinted and looked at the ancient underworld divine pagoda in the distance. Because it was extremely dangerous here, many people would choose to hide. It was the same as many cultivators in the mortal world, who chose to go to the netherworld to seek refuge or to train in the netherworld. Many of the cultivators who went to the ancient underworld divine pagoda now had committed serious crimes and were wanted. They didn't have to enter the ancient underworld divine pagoda, they could hide in a corner. The more dangerous a place was, the safer it was. According to the danger zone ranking, the ancient underworld divine pagoda was ranked first. It could be said that it was the most dangerous area in the netherworld. There were netherworld fire and heavenly yin fire everywhere. If one was not careful, they would definitely become an ice sculpture. Without the cultivation of the Spirit King stage, they would basically die if they were hit by the heavenly yin fire. They didn't even have to struggle, they would directly become an ice sculpture. Although it was a holy place to hide, there were also many people who came here to look for treasures and martial arts. This was the territory of the ancient underworld deity king, and there was a high-grade divine tool in front of them. How could they not be tempted? It was just that for so many years, no one could take the ancient underworld divine pagoda, no one could. According to the memory given by the king of the heavens, no one could take the ancient underworld divine pagoda except for the ancient underworld deity king. Even his own son couldn't control the ancient underworld divine pagoda. The function of the ancient underworld divine pagoda was to suppress the evil spirit race, so it would definitely not be taken away. If it was taken away, it would be equivalent to having no guards, and once the evil spirit race attacked, it would be a tragedy. However, there were still many strong cultivators who wanted to subdue the ancient underworld divine pagoda. It was just that those who came here never returned, no exception. Many people had seen people enter the ancient underworld divine pagoda but never come out. As time passed, everyone felt that this place was getting more and more dangerous, so no one dared to come. There were fewer people coming, but there were still people who took the risk to come here occasionally. For example, super wanted criminals, people who were about to die, or people who wanted to try their luck. Yi Tianyun looked around. The other cultivators who came with him all avoided him, not daring to get close to him. His every move had been seen by the cultivators at the side, giving them a fright. Yi Tianyun couldn't be bothered with them. He had wanted to ask the people around him about the situation, but he didn't expect them to start fighting. Since that was the case, he couldn't be bothered with them anymore. He headed to the ancient underworld divine pagoda to take a look. His pace was very fast. As he gradually approached, the ancient Ming divine pagoda in front of him became bigger and bigger. It wasn't that the ancient Ming divine pagoda had become bigger, but the closer he got, the more he could see the entire ancient Ming divine pagoda. The area it occupied was over 1,000 miles wide, and it was like an invincible and enormous city. More importantly, it was stacked up in layers, and it was visible to the naked eye that there were at least 9 layers tall. Each layer was at least 10,000 feet high, which was really terrifying. Just this alone was equivalent to 9 cities stacked up, and it was unknown how many cultivators could be accommodated inside. This ancient Ming divine pagoda is really magnificent. Yi Tianyun looked up and saw 2 incomparably huge iron chains. Many cultivators were climbing up bit by bit, and the entire process was very difficult. The entrance to the ancient Ming divine pagoda was 1,000 feet above, which meant that if one wanted to go up, they had to climb up the iron chains. In the process of climbing, the netherworld fire was released from the iron chains, freezing people. Those with low cultivation would definitely be frozen, and then they would fall from the iron chains and be smashed into powder. Otherwise, they would have to resist the terrifying netherworld fire and suppress it so that it wouldn't hurt them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to go up. Not only was it dangerous outside, but it was also extremely dangerous up there. When he was just about to climb up, a black shadow fell from above. He grabbed it, turned it around, and put it down. The person was wrapped in a black robe, and no one could see her face, but after being rescued by Yi Tianyun, she bowed her head and said, "Thank you." Her voice was crisp and sweet, and it was not a man's voice at all, but a woman's voice. After saying thank you, she continued to climb up without any intention of resting. Yi Tianyun frowned, and he didn't know what was going on. He looked up and down at her back, and the appraisal eye immediately showed the details of this person. Fan Xiuxuan, 7th level of Spirit Core Stage, has the bloodline of the ancient Ming Divine King. The bloodline of the ancient Ming Divine King? The appraisal eyes could still see what kind of bloodline it was, but it was still very difficult to accurately identify the evil spirit race that was hidden. After all, there were many other bloodlines mixed in, so the data presented in front of him would be more mixed, and priority would definitely be given to those with the most bloodlines. They could successfully hide in the crowd, to a large extent, because they had absorbed too many human bloodlines. Unless they exposed their true bodies, it was really difficult to detect them. Otherwise, he wouldn't want to upgrade the appraisal eye so much, so that he could detect all kinds of bloodlines. This cultivator who was wrapped up tightly was actually a descendant of the ancient Ming Divine King. He looked up at the other cultivators, and they were either very ordinary humans or other races, and they didn't have the bloodline of the ancient Ming Divine King. He frowned as he looked at Fan Xiuxuan, who continued to climb up. When she stretched out her hands to grab the iron chains, her slender hands were covered with bruises, and it was obvious that she was frostbitten. But she still climbed up firmly, bit by bit. With her cultivation, it was not easy to climb up here. Her cultivation was already at the bottom line, and climbing this iron chain was simply courting death. Fortunately, the surging netherworld fire didn't cause any harm to her, or it should be said that it didn't have any effect. It was so difficult for her to climb up, mainly because she was injured. Yi Tianyun was curious as to why she needed to climb up. Wasn't she the descendant of the ancient Ming Divine King? Why couldn't she climb up easily? I must go up and take back our things. She clenched her teeth and climbed up bit by bit. However, he didn't climb for long before he slid down from the top with a crash. He basically slid down along the iron chains. As he slid down, a deep bloody gash appeared on his palm. Chapter 788. Fan Xiuxuan did not slow down after she failed to climb up. She planned to continue climbing without any intention of resting. Judging from her current situation, she would never be able to climb up again. Her life might even be in danger. If not for him, she would have been seriously injured by the fall. If she had climbed to a height of 70 or 80 feet, she would have been smashed into a meat patty. Do you need help? Yi Tianyun asked. Fan Xiuxuan, who was about to climb up, was startled. She immediately shook her head and said, "No need. Thank you for your kindness, but I can do it myself. Moreover, if I bring someone up here, I won't be able to climb up at all. The power will be greatly enhanced, and it might hurt you." She did not show her face, nor did she ask for help from Yi Tianyun. She reached out and continued to grab the chain, ready to climb up. Are you the descendant of the ancient underworld deity king? The sudden question scared Fan Xiuxuan so much that she jumped back. She quickly took out a dagger and pointed it at him, her hands trembling. Who are you? Her voice was trembling. She was vigilant and full of killing intent. But looking at her face, there was no doubt that she had admitted that she was the descendant of the ancient underworld deity king. Of course, even if she did not admit it, the appraisal eye could see it. He originally thought that the evil spirit race had devoured the descendant of the ancient underworld deity king and possessed the bloodline of the ancient underworld deity king. But the necklace hanging on her did not flicker red, which meant that she was not the descendant of the evil spirit race. If it was the evil spirit race, he would definitely continue to release red light. At that time, he would not even give the other party a chance to speak and would have already slashed down with his blade. I'm just guessing. This is the territory of the ancient underworld deity king. Can't she be the descendant of the ancient underworld deity king? Yi Tianyun did not say that he was the descendant of the heaven-creating divine king. He just wanted to find out what was going on with her and why she was here. Using the charming eye was the most time-saving, but for the descendant of the ancient underworld deity king, he would not use it for the time being. How is this possible? The top has long been occupied by a group of scum. Fan Xiuxuan didn't admit it. I'm not the descendant of the ancient underworld godly monarch. You can't say such things carelessly, or you'll get yourself killed. It's been occupied by a bunch of scumbags. Who would have the ability to do that? Yi Tianyun squinted his eyes. As expected, things weren't as simple as they seemed. In fact, there was a huge problem. You'll know when you get up there. I'm going up now. Fan Xiuxuan reached out and grabbed the chain, ready to continue climbing. Wait, I heard that once you enter, you won't be able to get out. If you go in, won't you be unable to come out? Yi Tianyun asked. Who can't say it's impossible? I just need to meet some conditions before I can come out. Fan Xiuxuan did not explain too much and continued to climb up. However, from her words, he could already tell that it was possible. It was just that there were some conditions. Soon after, Fan Xiuxuan continued to climb up. Her speed was neither fast nor slow. She couldn't go fast even if she wanted to, so she could only climb up bit by bit. Not long after, she faintly felt that she wanted to slide down. As expected, she didn't persist for long. Her hands that were grabbing the chain loosened and she fell from the sky once again. The other cultivators revealed a mocking smile. She was overestimating herself. She obviously couldn't go up, but she still insisted. Wasn't she courting death? Just as she was about to fall, a figure scuttled up from above and hugged her. She was firmly fixed on the chain. It's you. When Fan Xiuxuan saw that the person hugging her was Yi Tianyun, she was shocked. She hurriedly said, quickly let go. If you continue like this, the netherworld flame that surges out will freeze you. Sure enough, when he was fixed on the chain, a terrifying netherworld flame immediately surged out and drilled into his body, wanting to freeze him on the chain. Under normal circumstances, climbing up would occasionally cause him to be attacked by the netherworld flame. But now, there was an endless stream of attacks. This was more terrifying. Especially when the effect was several times stronger than usual. This was the price to pay for bringing someone up. It's okay, I'll bring you up, Yi Tianyun quickly climbed up with her. At this time, many cultivators on the side saw this and immediately laughed. Ha, this fool actually brought someone up. Isn't he courting death? That's right. It's clearly stated that we can't bring anyone up. Whoever brings someone up will die. This guy is trying to be a hero. He even brought someone up. What an idiot. In my opinion, he doesn't know the rules. It's a pity. If the kid who was brought up fell down with him, both of them would be dead. Many of the cultivators, whether they were climbing up or preparing to climb down, shook their heads. They felt that this was overestimating themselves. Some people could indeed persist and climb up. But who could resist the terrifying heavenly Yin flame at the end? Therefore, the early stage was not terrible. What was terrible was climbing to the end. If both of them fell down, it would really be over. They couldn't fly and were frozen. It would be hard not to die. There were many pieces of ice on the snow. Many of them were corpses. This was the best proof. Continue to climb up. You will die. Fan Shuoxuan hurriedly shouted. Believe me. Yi Tianyun's deep and low voice drilled into her ears. His firm and confident voice shook her heart. She immediately became silent. She silently stayed in his arms, motionless. Yi Tianyun's speed was getting faster and faster. The netherworld flame was nothing to him. He easily absorbed it into his body and turned it into proficiency. Soon, he climbed more than half of the 100 zhang height. Many people who were not optimistic about Yi Tianyun were stunned. Why was this different from what they had agreed? His speed didn't slow down at all. Instead, it continued to increase. At this speed, he would soon reach the top. Soon, the heavenly Yin flame will be released. At that time, he will die. Many of them were convinced in their hearts that Yi Tianyun would certainly be frozen into an ice sculpture by the heavenly Yin flame. Although it was their first time coming here, the rumor was already deeply rooted. They believed that no one could escape the attack of the heavenly Yin flame. However, they thought too much. When Yi Tianyun climbed up to 80 zhang with Fan Shuoxuan, the heavenly Yin flame quickly drilled into his body, wanting to freeze him. Be careful. Fan Shuoxuan saw the heavenly Yin flame gushing out from the iron chain and hastily warned. Yi Tianyun revealed a trace of smile. He didn't stop and continued to climb up. When the heavenly Yin flame drilled into his body, it was completely devoured in the blink of an eye. Ding! Successfully absorbed the heavenly Yin flame, gaining 2000 proficiency. Chapter 789. How is this possible? Fan Shuoxuan watched as the heavenly Yin fire disappeared into Yi Tianyun's body. Nothing happened. Not even a little bit of cold air was released from his arm. It looked so ordinary and had no effect at all. It was obvious that the heavenly Yin fire had been absorbed. It didn't cause any harm to him. She was shocked. Not only Fan Shuoxuan, but the others also had the same thought. They clearly saw a large amount of heavenly Yin fire gushing out from the iron chain, but it had no effect on him. It was completely absorbed. This is impossible. Basically, no one can subdue the heavenly Yin fire. Is there some kind of power in his body? Everyone was stunned. While they were shocked, Yi Tianyun climbed up the iron chain and brought Fan Shuoxuan to the platform above the iron chain. They successfully reached the entrance. There was no difficulty at all. The whole process was balanced. There was no acceleration or deceleration. It was very fast from the beginning. It took a total of a joss-stick time to reach the top easily. This speed was not the fastest. In fact, he could go even faster, such as using teleportation. However, this was a little too exaggerated. Even if he used his normal climbing speed, he would scare Fan Shuoxuan if he went too fast. After successfully reaching the top, everyone was shocked. They didn't know what to say. They were so shocked that they couldn't speak. Are you the descendant of the ancient underworld god king? At this time, the black robe on Fan Shuoxuan's head fell down, revealing her beautiful appearance. She had blue eyes. There was a blue flower on her forehead that looked like a flame. She looked at most 15 or 16 years old. She was worthy of being the descendant of the ancient underworld god king with such cultivation. However, this was still relatively low. It seemed that the resources were not good. Otherwise, it was impossible for her cultivation to be so low. The descendant of the ancient underworld god king's bloodline was definitely not bad. It was obvious that they had declined. They had also lost control of the ancient underworld god pagoda. I am not the descendant of the ancient underworld god king. Yi Tianyun denied. How is it possible? Otherwise, how can you absorb the heavenly yin fire? Fan Shuoxuan questioned. The world is full of wonders, but I'm not the descendant of the ancient underworld godly king. You look so familiar. Are you the descendant of the ancient underworld godly king? Yi Tianyun already knew that she was the descendant of the ancient underworld godly king, but he still couldn't help but tease her. I am not the descendant of the ancient underworld deity king. Fan Shuoxuan quickly refuted. If you talk nonsense, you'll be punished. Especially if ancient underworld god king finds out about it. If his descendant doesn't admit it, he'll be very sad. Yi Tianyun teased. Ah. Fan Shuoxuan hurriedly covered her mouth and looked around, but there was no one around. Her eyes were filled with panic. Cough cough, I was just talking nonsense. I am the descendant of the ancient underworld godly king. You tricked me. She suddenly realized that her words seemed to have been ruthlessly drawn out of her, and her identity was completely exposed. When did I trick you? I just said that if you're the descendant of the ancient underworld godly king, and you don't admit that you're the descendant, the ancient underworld godly king will be very sad. Yi Tianyun spread out his hands helplessly. Fan Shuoxuan suddenly exploded in anger. She pouted and looked at him angrily. She raised her hand and was about to hit him. Then she put down her hand and humphed. Since you brought me up here, I won't argue with you. I hope you can keep it a secret for me. If you can keep it a secret, I'll pay you as a reward for bringing me up here. Keep it a secret? Yi Tianyun smiled faintly. I don't need any reward. I want to know the current situation of the ancient underworld holy kingdom. Just tell me this. What could Fan Shuoxuan give him as a reward? It would be a good heaven-level martial art or a divine tool. She might not even have any. It might be an earth-level martial art, but it meant nothing to him. He just wanted to know the situation of the ancient underworld holy kingdom. What's the situation of the ancient underworld holy kingdom? Fan Shuoxuan smiled miserably. She turned around and walked towards the door. She said faintly, if you want to know, come in with me. You'll know in a while. Fan Shuoxuan led him inside. Yi Tianyun nodded. The best way was to go in and see the situation. Looking up, what he saw was a huge door. A door without a door was a huge entrance. From here, he couldn't see anything at all. It was dark inside, like a bottomless pit. Once he got close, he would be sucked in. Although I said before that you can come out after you go in, you have to pay a big price to come out. Especially since it's controlled by someone, it's even more difficult. Are you ready? Fan Shuoxuan turned to look at him. There was some determination in her light blue eyes. It won't be difficult for me to come out. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly. All right then, come with me. This is the ancient underworld divine pagoda. After you go in, it won't be easy to come out. Fan Shuoxuan smiled and led him inside. They gradually disappeared into the ancient underworld divine pagoda. Yi Tianyun also stepped into the ancient underworld divine pagoda. It was as if he had passed through a water door. There were ripples on the surface. In the blink of an eye, it returned to its original calmness. At the same time, not long after they went in, a group of people quickly rushed over. Each of them was wearing a black robe. This black robe was not an ordinary black robe. It was the same one that Fan Shuoxuan was wearing. It could block others from probing. This thing is still very useful for ordinary people, but it's useless for Yi Tianyun, as he can explore inside and outside of the room. Why didn't you look after the princess? You actually let her go to the ancient underworld divine pagoda alone. A low voice came from behind. I. That person sighed. He didn't know what to say, but his tone was full of self-blame. Stop talking. Hurry up and chase after her. It was so dangerous along the way, but we didn't see the princess. She might have already reached the ancient underworld divine pagoda. If she goes in, I'm afraid it'll be very difficult for her to come out. Especially since it's been occupied by those demons and they're still chasing after her. Damn it. How could there be such a careless mistake? If she really goes in, it'll be very difficult. If she goes in, I'll go in and bring her out. Great Elder, if you go in, I'm afraid you'll also be trapped in there. Most of the ancient underworld divine pagoda is now under control. Even if we are the descendants of our ancestors, we have to go through layers of tests. Do you think we have any other way now? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.